All right. Hello, welcome everybody to another BD Boxing podcast, broadcasting to you live from the True North. It's your good friends to BDA, and I sure am glad. That's right, sure I'm glad that everybody could be on board for this one, fellas. In this episode, we got a fantastic one for you as we preview to Saturday's fight between Regis Prograis and Jack Catterall. That should be a good one. And also, we're going to be taking a look at some of the dramatic goings-ons in the boxing world outside the ring, negotiations, the usual negotiations, avoidances, ducking, and controversy, for sure. So we're going to be talking about all of that plus more. We're going to be opening up the phone lines near the end of the hour in case anybody wants to call in, give us their thoughts on all the drama occurring in boxing. And that's about it, fellas. Before we get down to the fun, let's get the business out of the way. You know the drill. If you want to donate a couple of shekels our way, you're certainly welcome to do so with the Super Chat feature, although it's always better if you join the membership program. That way you get more bang for your buck. But the most important thing is you continue to like, subscribe, spread that BDA gospel, all right? And don't forget, for as low as $2, you can join our Patreon to subsidize our hard-hitting documentaries and everything that goes on in the boxing debate arena. And don't forget that if you want to check us out at your leisure, the episodes over at Spotify, iTunes, and Spreaker. All right, fellas? Thanks again. Always appreciate your support. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm talking about Nerd, Ryu Junior 33, Rap Ass Talking Company, 10-4, Quick Sloth, Casey Boxing, Alfredo Contreras, shout out to him, Mars Boxing. Who else we got here? Omar E, Roland Curtis, The Quags, and many more people to come, I'm sure. Fellas, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. All right, let me start inviting a couple of people over here. Even I hope this works. For some reason, it wasn't working earlier. But yeah, I'm going to be calling a couple of people. Make sure everybody's on board for this episode because we got a lot to talk about. And again, if nobody jumps on right off the bat, I can make some sort of a calling show right off the bat. But I would appreciate just talk with people and, just sort of throw out some ideas and maybe some theories about everything going on in boxing. By the way, shout out to Mohammed Amard Bruce Lee. He says, cheers, BDA. Well, right back at you. You want some sugar? No, thank you. I'm sweet enough. What a name. All right, listen, who else is here? Raised Bray, the Hand History Vault, Heavy Chevy Guy, Real Talk Boxing. Good to see all of you guys on board, Grim Reaper. And actually, you know what? Let me start a call here. Yeah. See if anybody wants to jump on. While I do that, I want to talk about the Regis Prograis versus Jack Catterall fight. I wasn't kidding when I said I wanted to talk about that one because it is an interesting fight, for sure. Jack Catterall, who's on a bit of a streak ever since he got robbed, let's just face the facts, against Josh Taylor back in 2022. Think about it. If the decision had gone his way, which it should have, he's the guy that would be the lineal junior welterweight champion. Undisputed in my eyes, because there's no dispute. You know, he beat the guy who beat the man who beat the man. And so Jack Catterall is in that position where he's a very skilled guy. He's taken on a guy that not that long ago, in fact, that very same year in which he got robbed against Taylor, Prograis was on a hot streak himself when he stopped the very tough Jose Cepeda, became the first man to stop Cepeda. And so now both guys are fighting, but both guys on different trajectories. Catterall, like I said, finally avenged that Josh Taylor loss, or so-called loss. He's been looking good. Prograis, meanwhile, didn't look all that good when he fought Zorrilla. And by the way, Zorrilla is very close to Zorrillo in Spanish, which means skunk. And the guy sort of stung the joint out, but so did Prograis, with his inability to cut off the ring, get inside against the guy, wasn't really doing much. And then things got worse when he fought Devin Haney, Prograis that is, and ended up being completely unboxed and even dropped by Devin Haney. So that was back in November. Now it's going to be October or something, so it's a little less than a year that he's been out of the ring, 35 years old. But I got to tell you, one of the reasons why I think this fight is very dangerous for Catterall is because you got to look at the styles here. Okay, well, let me just look at the statistics. Catterall is 31 years old, right in his physical prime. Prograis is 35, so not in his physical peak yet, but he's always had fast hands, and he's fought some of the best out there. So, and on top of that, the last thing that goes is the power, and this guy is legitimately heavy-handed. I don't know who, for some reason, they don't show you the reach here for Catterall. I'm gonna have to box rank it, but apparently Prograis is taller by an inch. Be that as it may, what I want to talk about stylistically is Catterall resembles Jose Cepeda more than he resembles a guy like Haney or Zorrilla. Both Zorrilla and Haney are better movers, whereas Catterall really stands on the spot trying to run guys in with his left hand, sort of like Prograis. Sort of like Cepeda was, and Prograis took Cepeda apart. Now, of course, that was 2 years ago, and like I said, there's been inactivity from Prograis, and the last time he fought, he was getting embarrassed by Devin Haney, so you never know how that's going to affect him both mentally and physically. However, the upside here for Prograis, despite his inactivity, and despite the fact that he's an older guy compared to Catterall, is that Catterall fights at an old man's pace. Check out his fight against Jorge Linares, who's been stopped by pretty much everybody except Devin Haney. What does that tell you? When you were in the same boat as Devin Haney in being unable to stop Jorge Linares, that doesn't really bode well, and which is a shame because I do think Catterall has good power, but it's just his inactivity inside the ring. In other words, his lack of volume. He lacks a certain edge. There's a hump that he doesn't really get over, and I don't know if that's going to cost him against Prograis. But like I said, Prograis is up against it. Don't get me wrong. And I understand why Catterall is a favorite, but you just never know, is what I'm saying. There's a lot of things going for Prograis as well here that could give him an edge or could make it interesting for him in the fight. Let's see. I got Sobers here. Sobers, are you there?
What's up? What's up, BDA?
What's up, man? What's up? What are your quick thoughts on the whatchamacallit, on the Catterall versus Prograis fight?
I kind of hate both their styles. So it's it's hard to get excited for this fight. I feel like Catterall is kind of dirty, and Regis Prograis lost pretty much all his street cred getting knocked down by Devin Haney. I feel like in that fight, Devin Haney could have knocked him out if he pushed a little bit harder. So it's hard to really get behind Prograis to win this fight. And like you were saying earlier, Catterall's on a hot streak right now. He's actually showing himself to be better than what how he looks in the ring suggests. Because when I watch him box, it's just I'm like, what's this? I don't know, bro. It's like we make fun of him the whole time he's fighting. You know, he sticks his ass out. It's kind of awkward and stiff. You know what I mean?
Right.
Kind of like that other guy, the Cabrera, El Cabron. He's another guy that fights with his ass sticking out the whole time. You know what I mean? Just kind of awkward, dude. And just like, well, I mean, he's winning, right? So you got to give him credit. But like, I feel like this fight is going to be like a really dirty, ugly fight because you got Prograis, who's not such a great boxer, and you got Catterall, who can kind of box, but like, he's going to be awkward in there. He's going to be using elbows. I don't know. I'm not really looking forward to this fight. And I just don't like their styles. And like Regis Prograis, like I said, like he lost all the street credit he had, getting his ass dropped by Haney after talking all that. You from the suburbs, man? I'm gonna hurt you, little boy, and all that. Whoop de whoop street shit. And got dropped, dude. You know what I mean?
I remember when he said, "I'm going in there aggressive but smart, not Mexican style."
Exactly. Oh yeah, thank you, BDA. Yes, I'm not going there flat-footed like a Mexican. I'm gonna box smart. And I almost got his ass knocked out. Thank you.
Short ass Jojo Diaz, who can't crack half as hard as Prograis. He's the guy. He gave Haney a much tougher fight than Regis Prograis did. So I mean, maybe the Mexican style isn't all that unskilled as guys.
Well, flat-footed Ryan got him, right?
I mean, flat-footed male model Ryan got him. But anyway, my point is, you're right. This fight could turn out to be very ugly. But I do believe that Prograis, despite being embarrassed by Haney his last fight, I think he if he has anything left, I think don't be surprised if he pulls off the upset or so-called upset. Because I'm not all that impressed with Catterall either. Because again, there's a caveat to what I was talking about: Catterall versus Taylor. Yeah, Catterall beat him in my eyes twice, but Josh Taylor's finished. That dude looks all dried up. He looked awful against Teofimo Lopez. And again, I'll give Teofimo Lopez credit for how he made him look, but it's still, he didn't look that slow and that sluggish before. And it's the weight issues. It's the weight issues, it would seem to me. So even then, I think the Catterall thing is a bit of a mirage. Would you agree?
Hey, don't say that word, BDA.
Okay, illusion. Smoke and mirrors.
Okay,
how about that?
Cool, okay.
No,
you got two more times to say it before he pops up.
I mean, did you see the video? Somebody posted on your Discord, I think, where Rick Glacier was like, I don't know if he was on TBS or whatever. He's like, all right, I'll take some calls, but don't that Australian guy. I don't want to talk to that Australian guy. And we all know who he was talking about. So Mirage has Rick Glacier on the run, man. How about that?
Yeah. I haven't seen that clip, but there is one where he's on Black and Browns, I think, and he jumps on. And he's like, "Stop ducking me, Rick Glacier. I caught you now." And this dude's like, "Mirage, calm down, come on." He's like, "Get him out of here. I'm leaving." He's like, "Stop ducking me, stop." And he wasn't really saying anything besides that. So it's like even funnier because like he's not even really offending the guy. Like I don't know, it's just funny.
Yeah, I mean that dude. I mean, it's always a party with him. By the way, shout out to Mars Boxeo says Catterall loves that American slick style, the ass style. Yeah, I mean, before we move on here, because I want to talk about the Tank Davis thing. Wouldn't you agree with my analysis of Catterall that he doesn't really push the pace all that much?
Yeah. You know, when him and Taylor fought, it was kind of a close fight because this guy won't go for it, and I just don't like his style, BDA, and I agree with you, dude. You know, he won't go for it. He kind of just sticking his ass. So I don't know, bro. I just don't like, and I just don't enjoy his fights.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's all we've got this Saturday, and like you said, it could turn out to be a boring fight. Hopefully, they prove us wrong, and hopefully, they give us something to talk about the next day. But it remains to be seen. Indeed. All right, let's talk about Yes.
I was gonna say the one caveat, like you're saying, to that with a fight like this could be, since it could get ugly, you know, it could just turn into a brawl, you know, and these guys are gonna start throwing elbows and headbutts and fists, and that would be cool too if they both, you know, really come with it. But like you were saying about Catterall, he kind of doesn't push the pace. I don't know what's gonna happen, bro. But yeah, my bad. Go ahead. We can move on.
No, that's. I mean, listen. I like a sloppy brawl every now and then. Doesn't have to be high level, technical, clean. If it's sloppy, but it's funny or something that gives us entertainment, that's what I'm watching for. Entertainment. It doesn't have to be, like I said, a sweet science.
Are you talking about a girl or are you talking about a fight?
I'm talking about all of it, baby. That's what I'm talking about. I like it. Sometimes sloppy. Sometimes I like it tight. Sometimes I like it sloppy. I can make it work. Mr. BDA is a magician. He works with everything. I'm a true professional. All right, so let's talk about this, Sobers. The news that just recently came out Dan Rayfield coming out with a communique via Twitter saying, I've been told by 3 sources involved in the event, talking about the Tank Davis Lamont Roach event, there's a good chance it won't happen December 14th as announced on PBC social platforms. Venue issue may be the reason, I'm told. Might happen as planned, but unclear. One deemed it 50-50. Could get pushed to early 2025. And then, of course, the aforementioned Rick Glacier jumped in and said, Lamont Roach vs. Tank Davis, that's supposed to be in Houston December the 14th on Amazon Prime pay-per-view, is in serious trouble, as Tank is demanding a lot more than the PBC is willing to pay, resulting from serious financial woes the PBC is facing these days. Let's hope they get it together. So it would appear there's 2 different rumors here. One rumor has it that Tank Davis is asking for too much money, and then the other one has the nebulous and vague notion of venue issues. Solvers, what do you make of all of this?
Well, it's hard for me to pinpoint what I think what the issue would be. If you want to be, let me see. I'll be inclined to believe that they're having a hard time paying Davis. He's probably asking for more money. He probably thinks I would say that he's the backlash he's getting online might make him nervous about how much he's going to sell, right? So he might be asking for a little bit more money up front just to make sure that he can cover himself on the back end because, like, I see him arguing with people online constantly. You know what I mean? He'll get into it with anybody. He'll get into it with you in the chat. You know what I mean? If you if you're in his on his Twitter, you know what I mean? He won't say nothing to Teofimo though.
Oh,
but he won't say something to you in the chat. You know what I mean?
We're gonna talk about Teofimo later on. This dude is doubling down. But
I can be inclined to believe BDA that he's asking for a little bit more money, because like I said, you know what I mean. He's getting a lot of backlash, and maybe he's nervous that he's not going to do so well in the sales, and he's like, let me just make sure I pat my pocket a little bit before I get in there. And I mean, who knows what's going on with the PBC? This is they barely did their first free event this year, and that's going to be the last one, right? Everything's pay-per-view.
Let's go through it because now I'm forgetting. So the first one was Zoo versus Fundora. The second one was, I believe, Canelo versus Munguia, right? Which was a co-promotion essentially, or co-televised, right? Then you had Davis versus Martin, and then what happened afterwards? Oh, Canelo Berlanga, another co-broadcast. So that's 4. And then we finally had this past Saturday, which was actually pretty good. I give him credit. The Tim Tszyu versus Murtazaliev. But that I think also was a Tszyu fight that was in collaboration with the Fox Sports Australia. I think I could be wrong. So that's 5 cards this year. We're in the month of October. So that's 5 cards every 2 months. When they said that they were going to be holding 12 to 14 cards this year. So what are you laughing for? What are you laughing for? What's the matter?
Because also, not only that, BDA, because this used to be the people that would never co-promote with anybody, and then you just named off like they did one event that wasn't with somebody else's help. So it's just funny how the tables are turning,
Don't take my word for it about the co-promotion or whatever, because I'm not really sure. But yeah, I mean it's weird, man, because. Look, Tank Davis, one of the things that's good for him, or that's one of the positives with Tank Davis, is that he does sell well on the East Coast and on the West Coast. Now, there's a bit of a controversy about whether he's really selling out the venues. I know Jimmy's had a lot to say about that. But when he fights in Atlanta, whether it's in your neck of the woods in Georgia, or whether he's in New York, or whether he's in LA. Yeah, or whether he's in LA, he does, he attracts quite a crowd. I mean, when he fought Ryan Garcia, wasn't Madonna there? Scouting for some youngins.
A new boo thing.
Yeah, what Boots is his her boyfriend? What?
No, I said a new boo thing.
Oh, boo thing. I thought you said Boots. I said, well, you never know, man.
Well, yeah, she would bang somebody like Ennis. That's about right.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, that's even more dangerous than Ennis fighting Virgil Ortiz or any 154 pounder. I mean, you're getting into something that's been around for Madonna me. That woman's been all over the place. But anyway, listen. You mentioned that Tank Davis may be asking for a little bit more money up front because he knows that this fight could potentially bomb or will bomb. I mean, look, that's the other thing. Do you think Tank Davis is that oblivious that he doesn't know that his last pay-per-views, with the exception of the Ryan Garcia one, have been bombing?
No, he has to know, and like I was saying, like he's real confrontational with people, in person and online. And when other boxers are brought up around him, he gets confrontational about them. Like I don't know if you heard what he said about Beterbiev. He basically said, always said he's because Beterbiev's coach was doing an interview, and I think they asked him about Davis, and he said, "Well, for me," they asked him about Davis in the Hall of Fame, and Beterbiev's coach said, "Well, for me, I wouldn't put him in the Hall of Fame, but maybe someone else would, but not for me right now." The question was, if he retired today, would he go in the Hall of Fame? And he said, "No, not. I wouldn't put him in my Hall of Fame." And I guess the word got around to him, and he said, "Well, Beterbiev is ass anyways." You know what I mean? So, so he gets confrontational when there's anything, any kind of pushback towards him or like criticism towards his career or his opponents. Anything that's not praise, it's just hate.
I gotta tell you, people think that I dislike the PBC for personal reasons or Tank Davis. Well, with Tank Davis, it is a certain degree of dislike for his attitude outside the ring. The guy's very impulsive. He doesn't seem like a good person. And he's certainly not the type of people you want to be living around. But that being said, boxing does need its stars right now to keep the boxing sport afloat. And one of the negative things, or one of the disappointing things with Tank Davis is that he's on the cusp of being mainstream. On the cusp. But to be mainstream, you have to fight the best. And he hasn't been fighting the best. Now, let's go back to what the first rumor, that according to Dan Rayfield, who, by the way, Dan Rayfield not that long ago was trying to court the attention of Showtime PBC. That's when Showtime was still in the game. And he was trying to court them by, making fun of people who were criticizing the PBC and then at the same time tagging Espinoza. Like, hey, guy, hey, Steven, do you see how stupid these people sound? Like, I'm paraphrasing, but he says something like that. Kind of like
like nudging their elbow, like, can you believe these clowns, Steven? Leonard Ellerby, you seeing this? Like, get the fuck out of here.
You know what? It always reminds me of that fat kid who's hanging around with the cool guy, and he's trying to clown other people in front of the cool guy to show him he's cool. Meanwhile, everyone knows he's a fat. So that's what Rayfield reminded me of. However, now he's sort of coming out with these rumors, but then again, he could be making up something a little bit, or maybe skewing the facts or distorting them to lessen the impact. Again, we're just speculating here. Nobody knows really what's going on. But according to him, the fight's it's probably getting postponed because of venue issues. Now, listen, Sobers, I'm not a promoter. I know it sounds difficult to believe that as smart as I am, I'm not a businessman or a promoter or an event setter or anything like that, an event planner. I don't know jack squat about event planning, but what type of issues could be going on here that are related or expressed as venue issues? Well, what could be going on here to postpone this type of fight?
As far as venue, the only thing I could think of was, this guy, Heyman, doesn't really like to foot the bill for his events, right? He likes to use other people's money. Mm-hmm. And it seems like he's fucked up a lot of people's money, if, the rumors are correct. And, the evidence is there. PBC was everywhere. Now they're on Amazon Prime. So, it might be hard for him to get investors, or as the event pulls closer, there might be people trying to pull their money out and be like, this is not looking as good as it was. And like they might be seeing the same thing that Davis is seeing and what we're seeing. Like, you're not going to really sell this fight. So some people could be getting cold feet, pulling their money back. Other potentially bigger customers could be trying to throw money at the venue for the date, like a concert or like, maybe in a UFC event. And they're like, you know what, we're going to make more money off this. We might just tell you guys to fuck off.
Well, that's what I wanted to you bring up a good point. And Eric Gomez, president of Golden Boy Promotions, was on the last episode of the 3 Knockdown Rule. He was talking about how difficult it is to set up events, especially smaller events in Los Angeles, because it's a big city. It's one of the renowned cosmopolitan centers of the world. And there's always something going on, concerts, other sports, blah, 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 you name it. What does Houston really have? Is Houston that big of an event city? What? They got a basketball team, right? Do they have a football team? I imagine.
Who plays with the Texans?
The Houston, because that's where the fight was going to be supposedly. Houston.
Yeah, I don't know nothing about no foosball, BDA. Don't ask me.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna. I know you look like the type of guy who could have played football, but I don't know what the position, but you're a stocky guy. They probably use you as defense or something.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying. I thought you would know about football, but again, I don't know anything about football, or as we call it in Mexico, American football. That's because football for us is soccer. But anyway, the point is, um, okay. So, do you know anything about Houston as a city? Or is it that big an event, a city where there's concerts all the time, or almost every day, or there's other sporting events? Because maybe, like, to your point, maybe that's why it was created a bit of a ruckus for the Davis fight. Like, hey, we can't compete with these events, especially a fight this undesirable.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head, to be honest. I would lean more towards like money issues coming through. Like maybe they can't, put the money up front to pay for the venue like they thought they could have a couple months ago. Because yeah, like you're saying, I'm not sure what would be in Houston that's so big, but I'm not from Texas, so I can't say. Maybe someone call in and tell us later, right? But as far as what could be a big venue there that happens constantly, I don't know. I would say Joe Rogan, but he's in Austin, isn't he? He's not in Houston.
Yeah, he's in Austin. He's in Austin. Well, yeah, and that's the other thing. It's not like a main event.
Joe Rogan wants to use the arena, BDA.
Oh, imagine that. Yeah, hey, then you'll see Davis going after Joe Rogan. Motherfucker, you ain't shit. You ain't shit.
And Gervonta Davis is pound for pound one of the baddest dudes on the planet, man.
Oh yeah, I think he's one of the best fighters of all time. Like, wait, what, Joe? Come on, man. You don't see. Well, at least me.
He might be Roberto Duran, dude.
Oh, come on. He might be. Him and Ronda Rousey actually may take over the world. Look, listen. Yeah, but Sobers, you're right. Any Houstonians out there, if that's even a word, please call in and let us know what type of event city do you guys get over there? Is there something going on every other week that could supersede an undesirable Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach fight? Please let us know, because Sobers, it's beyond me. I still don't get it. For years,
BDA in the chat, Real Talk Boxing just said he's in Houston and ain't shit going on.
No, he says in Texas. I'm in Texas. He says ain't shit in Houston. You know what? I got family in Houston, so I don't want to. I'm not gonna shit on on that city too much. I like it. I've been there. I like the Space Center.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if there's not nothing happening like that consistently, for it to jam up this fight. I don't know, bro. I just have to lean towards money. If they have funding, they're funding it. I mean, that's a consistent problem they had, right? Recently, since over the last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's why they've been, keep throwing all these pay-per-views at us, and that's why it couldn't be on Fox. And you know what I mean? They were lying about whether. I mean, I don't know if they're lying, but there's a bunch of controversy about whether they had a budget with Prime or not, right? They say they didn't, then they say they did, but we're not seeing it because they only did one event.
Yeah, I mean that's what's bizarre about this whole thing. And again, it's just a rumor. I mean, Dan Rayfield claims 3 sources. Rick Glacier, I don't know where he got his info from, but I give him a lot of credit for whenever he comes out with something and then it turns out to be true. He's done it a couple of times. So I'm really scratching my head here, going, well, what? Dan Rayfield's version, venue issues. I mean, I gotta tell you, for years, Tank Davis fans have been telling us on Twitter. And the PBC guys too, every time they do a press conference, this is Tank Davis, the face of boxing. This is the fight that people, when he was fought Luis Garcia, this is the fight the fans have been looking towards for. And it's like, what? Which fans? What are you talking about?
Well, you know what, B-Day, since you say the fans, since you're bringing up the fans, what if the fans are the problem? What if the venue's like, last time he was here, we hear too many things, too many stabbings, too many people getting jumped in the crowd. We can't have this shit.
Nah, stop it.
Voodoo magic, man.
Stop it. That only really happened in the Hector Luis Garcia fight. And then another fight, I think it was after the fight, somebody was blowing up firecrackers in the arena. People thought they were gunshots. But
no, come on.
Yeah,
someone
which fight was it?
That sounds like a lie that they would.
I mean, I'd have to talk. Jimmy remembers. We talked about it after the show. I mean, after the fight. I think it was after the Romero fight. It was almost empty. Well, I mean, look, listen. I tend to believe that there's a good security at these venues, but you're right though. Maybe it has something to do with it. Maybe the Houston venue said, what?
You ever seen the movie Southpaw, BDA?
With Jake, what's his name? Gyllenhaal?
Yeah, with Jake Gyllenhaal.
No, I've never seen it.
Oh man, you should watch it, bro. There's a good example of how security fails boxers at the events. They shoot his wife, bro.
It's a
When a
fucking
rival
movie, man.
boxer was trying to trying to get a fight going, they shoot his wife.
I mean, it's a movie. I'm not gonna get my info
It's
from a
real, but
movie.
it
Ah, shit! What the fuck? Sorry about that, sobers. I dropped out, man. My bad. My bad. I think it's a good opportunity to tell people to hit that like, hit that like, hit that like, hit that like. It really helps us out.
yeah.
And just Brian says, Mirage is like a cockroach. No matter how much we want him gone, he always comes back. Well, I mean, come on, you don't have to insult cockroaches like that, just Brian. Come on. Shout out to Greg Terrible for his contribution with the super chat. He says, yes, Houston is a big city. Munguia, Canelo, Juan Diaz, Charlos, Rocky Juarez, but Tank and the BBC are having trouble getting them meaningful fights, or getting the meaningful fights, excuse me. Yeah, I mean, that's been a problem. Now, I want to talk about that too, Greg Terrible. Thank you for reminding me of that. And shout out to Jacques, who's...
Actually, BDA, I heard a rumor that Benavidez was going to share card, or Jamal Charlo was going to make a comeback.
Yeah, that's what they were saying, right? That it was going to be another Benavidez Tank Davis co-edition of the PBC. But I mean, Benavidez is supposed to fight Morel, but they're saying that's going to be next year. So we'll see what happens. But real quick, shout out to Jacques Cousteau for his contribution with the super chat. He says it means Heyman doesn't have to deposit money to reserve the venue and insurance. The PBC may just be a couple of investigative reports away from falling. Oh. Shout out to Jacques Cousteau for reestablishing his membership program. I mean, would it be fair to speculate that perhaps the money is the main issue here, Sobers, with everything we've known about the PBC, compared to where it was 3 years ago, to now having 5 cards total this year on Amazon Prime? Would it be fair to say that, yeah, maybe the money is becoming a bit of an issue?
The well's running dry. That's what it looks like. Because I remember BDA, when they first came out, they had form. They had a Sugar Ray Leonard commentate. That Hans Zimmer made a theme song for them. You know, that's all gone, bro.
Yeah, I remember when they had the belt. They had the PBC belt that they were going to try to legitimize. Ah, fuck. That they were going to try to make legitimate. Let's just find it that way. It's been a long day. What do you want from me? But yeah, and all of a sudden that stopped. They had some good ambitions, big ambitions going into 2015, and compared to where they were in 2015 to now, you can't tell me things are better. You really can't. I mean, you have somebody. You need somebody who's really good at rhetoric or pilpul to really try to spin this into a positive thing.
Well, I've seen it. I've seen plenty of spin it. Am I coming through clearly? I feel like I'm cutting out.
Yeah, you cut off at one point over there.
All right. Well, I was gonna say, I feel like I've been hearing a lot of places that PBC is doing well, and you know, it's just part of the process. And just quit hating. And you know what I mean? When Davis gets in there, Benavidez gets in there, and Charlo gets in there, it's gonna sell really big, and they're gonna be back. So you just wait and see, BDA. You know what I mean? I'm seeing a lot of that on different channels too.
Well, let's talk about that. Like I said, for years we've been hearing about Tank Davis being the face of boxing. All roads lead to Tank Davis. He's the big event trendsetter, blah, blah, blah. Apparently he makes about $5 million per fight, and people say, yeah, but he gets back-end points for the pay-per-view. Okay, but the pay-per-views we know probably aren't doing that well. I mean, the rumor is, none other than the Ryan Garcia fight, he hasn't really broken 300,000 pay-per-views. So how much money is he really getting out of that?
Can I touch on that, BDA? Because you know, all can really go off on rumors, right? With the numbers being sold.
Sure.
When pertaining to the Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia lawsuit, I heard Oscar De La Hoya came out and said, "Yo, these guys they're also suing me because they don't believe that the money I gave. They believe I owe them more money." And he said they really don't. They want to look at my books. They really don't believe that they only sold 300,000 in that Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia fight. He said these guys think that they're worth more than they are, and they're gonna feel stupid. So I'm thinking like, okay, well, the number that we all thought at that was a lot more than that. So if it was really 300,000, like, you know, who knows what's really going on with these numbers? If we got these rumors that come out, you know?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
Because it was supposed to be like 700 or 800 or something like that, right? Or am I tripping?
700 what?
when Garcia and Haney fought, like the rumored number was higher than that, right?
Yeah, that's what I understand because De La Hoya, crazy bastard that he is, came out and tried to clown Bill Haney and Devin Haney. Said, that you're not a star. The fight against Ryan Garcia didn't even do. It only did 300,000 pay-per-view buys. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. So you're bragging or you're putting Haney down for an event that you co-promoted with a guy in Ryan Garcia that's supposed to be this big star, and now you're coming out. So yeah, that was the point of contention right there. Rick Glacier says he did 500,000. De La Hoya now is saying, you don't know if De La Hoya is wrong. You don't know if Rick Glacier is wrong. I mean, I don't know. But at the same time, it's these guys, I think they, like Tank Davis, Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, they overestimate their worth. They think they're big stars. And like I said in another episode, this ain't football, this ain't baseball, this ain't basketball where if you're like a good defensive player, you're going to get fans because those things are team sports. The people are associated and rooting for that team. It's something that goes back generations. My father used to root for the team, and his father root for the team. So I'm rooting for the team. So it's a team thing. The team is the star. And obviously, some teams have bigger stars that define the team and all that. But ultimately, everything that the player does is for the team, and therefore the fans root for the team. It's not the same thing in boxing. So Shakur Stevenson can boast about having the statistics that, he's at least one of the least hit boxers in the world, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? That doesn't mean squat because boxing is not a team sport. People aren't rooting for Shakur Stevenson. He's not the brand. The fight itself is the brand. The entertainment factor. And if it ain't entertaining, you're not worth squat. I'm sorry. That's the way it is. And so these fighters overestimate their worth. Well, I'm undefeated. I'm fighting the best. I'm taking risks. Therefore, I should be getting more money. In theory, yes, but this is a business. And the business dictates that you're not worth, like Teofimo Lopez. We're going to get to him. People complain about how he's mistreated. I can't believe he's not a bigger star. For some reason, he just doesn't jive with the people. He doesn't gel with people. I'm sorry that, Lomachenko, they tried pushing him as a star. He never really gelled with the mainstream public either. It happens. So it's not only about being entertaining, fighting the best. Sometimes people just don't want to see you fight. So all these guys are overestimating their, well, not all these guys, for a lot of them are. But back to Tank Davis. So they keep saying that he's the face of boxing. He's the face of boxing. He's the face of boxing. All roads lead to Tank Davis. Sobers, Canelo's the face of boxing, legitimately. Anthony Joshua is the face of boxing. Have you ever seen those guys? Maybe I'm misremembering, but when's the last time those guys' fights fell apart because of venue issues?
I can't think of one time. And then they wouldn't because the venues want them there.
Oh, great point. That's a good way of putting it. Again, I can't remember the last time a Canelo fight fell through because of the venue or a Joshua fight either. I'm pretty sure it's happened. I think maybe where they were going to go for one venue and then the last minute, but they find something. Right now, they're saying that the rumor is, and again, it's just a rumor, that the Tank Davis-Lamont Roach fight could be pushed back all the way to 2025.
So when was this supposed to happen, BDA? In December?
Let me see. It was supposed to take December the 14th, yeah.
So that's like over a month away.
Yeah.
That's like, there should be ample time to find a new venue or something. It's not like there's like a days away and have to throw something together. They could figure something out. Uh-huh. This guy Heyman's supposed to have all the connections in all these places. He is the big he was the music man, you know what I mean? He was a manager and he deals with these venues. That's like his specialty, isn't it? He's connected to all these places.
That's right. I mean, you hit the nail on the head there, Sobers, that how can Tank Davis be the face of boxing if being the face of boxing means, like you said, people want you to fight in their venues. You're a ticket seller. People, they want you to go in there and host events. How is Tank Davis the face of boxing if he can't find a venue? If he's having venue troubles, or if he doesn't have the infrastructure or the team to quickly resolve issues like this?
I mean, he can't be, bro. You just can't say he is. And, he could be the face of boxing for you. You know what I mean? And he might be for a couple people, but you can't say he's the face of the sport. I mean, it really bothers me, BDA, like, when they try to prop with this guy's his resume and stuff like that. Because if you do look at it from far away on paper, it's not bad. But then if when you're as you're if okay, we say we watch the fights, we know the situations, we see the guys being brought up, we see the opponents, you know what I mean, that they're not really up to par. We see the champions that are being avoided, you know, while he's fighting this guy, fighting that guy. And like I said, like when you look at the record, it looks decent, and his opponents have decent records. But in the moment, we're watching him duck all this better opposition. He's swerving him, he's waiting him out, and now he's in a situation where, you know, oh, he can't get, Lomachenko decided not to fight him, or Stevenson's not fighting him, whatever. And he's like, oh, no one wants to fight him. You know, everyone's ducking him because they're scared of him, and he's the best in the division now. He waited for everybody to leave. And now no one. He's like a fart in the wind. Like these other fighters, they're not clamoring. They don't give a fuck about fighting him. Stevenson doesn't feel like he needs him. Lomachenko doesn't feel like he needs him. You know, so now look, he's stuck. He's dead in a box Chevy, bro. He's stuck like a duck. You can't get a venue, bro. No one wants to see that Lamont Roach fight.
Are you saying he has no one to throw the ball to? Is that what you're saying? Nobody to play with?
Nobody to play with, bro.
That's sad, man. That's sad. No, but you know what? Look, listen. The other thing is, oh, come on, Sobers, come on, man. Let's get serious for a moment here, because you brought some excellent points, man. That Tank Davis has for a long time refused to fight the best, and I know, there's a spin to all stories about how, well, it's not his fault, blah blah blah. We're gonna get to that. The other thing I wanted to mention, though, however, is the fact that his fans have constantly said, and his representatives as well, he's the face of boxing. All roads lead to Tank Davis. Whenever Haney called him out, Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis, whomever, it was always, oh, those guys are cloud chasing. They're cloud chasing. Well, now Lomachenko didn't want to fight him. And this is a bit of a case of the boy who cried wolf one too many times, because in this scenario, it's true, he didn't have that many options. Shakur Stevenson fractured one of his brittle hands. Ryan Garcia suspended. Haney is still suffering from PTSD from the Garcia fight. Lomachenko seems to be tired of getting set up against these opponents just to get robbed in the cards. So, and then Cepeda already has a fight lined up as well. So there wasn't really anybody to fight him, but that's the problem. If he would have fought the best in the last 3-4 years, people would have given him a pass for this Lamont Roach fight, saying, okay, look, because of the circumstances, he couldn't get a big fight or somebody that we wanted to see him fight. So it is what it is. But no, it's been drag after drag for the past 3 years, so that now his credit has run out. Just like the PBC's credit appears to have run out. So it's his fault. Now it's turning out that, yeah, all roads might lead to Tank Davis, but he needs those guys as well to make a big event. Otherwise, he's left fighting Lamont Roaches of the world. And Lamont Roach, he's a competent fighter. He's made some major improvements in the last 3-4 years, defensively speaking. But he's a 130-pounder who doesn't really crack and is unknown by the mainstream fan. So is that really the best Dick could do? And is that really something that's going to, somebody in the chat said every Tank Davis fight is an event, perhaps in the venue, but certainly the pay-per-view fails to reflect that. And if you ask most people, mainstream people, who Tank Davis is, maybe a couple of the hip-hop, Wall-Star hip-hop crowd, because, some of his videos make it there, from what I hear.
She's so...
What the hell? Did you see? Even Sobers' family is laughing at the notion of Tank Davis being a box office attraction. But I mean,
yeah, because if he was a box office attraction, he wouldn't have trouble if it was such a big event.
That's what I'm saying.
Wouldn't have these venue issues.
Yeah, anything can be a low. The Haney versus Prograis didn't do well pay-per-view, but it did well at the gate. So was that the big event? Is Haney a big event setter or trend setter? I don't know, man. I would think not. But I also want to talk about this, Sobers. For years, Tank Davis, right after the Lomachenko failed negotiations, people were shitting on Lomachenko, saying, oh, Lomachenko docked Tank Davis this year. Lomachenko docked Tank Davis. Lomachenko docked him. Now it's coming out that the second rumor, because we talked about Dan Rayfield's rumor, now we're talking about the second rumor, which is provided to us by Greg Glacier. He says Tank Davis is overpricing himself, asking for too much damn money against Lamont Roach. If this is the case, if this is true, I think it lends credence to what we've been saying for years now. Lomachenko, you never heard him bitch about anything on social media. You never heard him barking on social media. You never heard him complaining about the gloves, about the money, about the venue, turnaround time for a fight, blah, blah, blah. It's only this year and perhaps I think last year, maybe I think it was last year when he was offered the Shakur Stevenson fight, that he said enough. I've given too much blood. But he's a drama-less fighter. Whereas with Tank Davis, what's the one thing Tank Davis has that all the other former lightweights and current lightweights don't have? He's never fought the best. Think about it. Teofimo Lopez fought Lomachenko. Haney fought Lomachenko. Kambosos fought everybody. Even Shakur Stevenson appears to want to fight everybody. Tank Davis never fought any of those dudes. So now it's coming out that he's asking for too much money. And Jimmy said that according to some of the stuff he heard, Lomachenko he left the negotiations because in true, and again, there's a record here of PBC fighters doing the same thing with negotiations, extending them, constantly asking for more stuff, constantly asking for irregular stuff or outrageous demands, making outrageous demands that make a fighter go, what am I dealing with here? And now we're hearing that he's fighting a relative nobody in Lamont Roach, and he's asking for more money? Solvers, would it be fair to say that perhaps Tank Davis is the problem for all these fights? Or maybe not Tank Davis himself, but his representatives for none of these big fights ever taking place?
I would say...
Are you in a rocket? What's going on?
You can hear that?
Yeah. Hopefully you're not in the... what was the space shuttle that blew up? Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. I would say you have to look at the common denominator in this. You know, like you're saying about Loma, like these issues. Do I keep cutting out?
A little bit.
I'm gonna have to jump in and out, bro.
Oh yeah, you jump back out, man. Jump out and jump back in. Yeah, and that's the other thing. Let's not forget, if we are to believe Ryan Garcia, although I don't really take what he says too much, but remember Ryan Garcia said the same thing about the Tank Davis negotiations. They were saying that the Tank Davis was demanding a tune-up for himself, but Ryan Garcia was forbidden from taking a tune-up, rehydration clause, a catch weight, all these things. So is it really that out of the realm of possibility that perhaps Tank Davis and his side are the problems when it comes to making these fights?
No, I would say, BDA, if it comes out that this dude was asking for too much money when he was negotiating with Lomachenko, bro, I don't want to see this dude fight ever again. You know what I mean? If you really had him on the hook somewhat and then you blew it because you're still you're not sure if it's worth it, whatever, like you still got I don't know, cold feet about it, man, this dude's never going to try to fight anybody. You know what I mean? Because not only did you wait 5 years after this dude called you wait for him to take a couple L's and you're still going to act goofy about it. I don't know, man. But like I was trying to say earlier, you have to look for the common denominator, dude. Like you're saying, you brought up Ryan Garcia. You know, we know what happened with Barrios. You know, he's already brought up Leo Santa Cruz. He brought up the Dominican. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's always something funny. There's always some funny business going on. So why would it change now?
I forgot about the Barrios thing, which, by the way, Barrios himself said that there was a rehydration clause. Now he could be BSing, although he never retracted it, and I don't think anybody from the Tank Davis side has ever. Oh no, I think somebody did. I think, right? Didn't somebody from the Tank Davis side this year contest the validity of there being a catch weight for the Barrios fight? Or maybe I'm wrong.
Not that I heard.
Yeah, I have to fact check that in true CNN way. But I mean, again, from what I understand, no one's ever contested that. So it just goes to show you that Tank Davis, and that's the other thing, is showbiz. I know people aren't usually fans of showbiz because he's a little bit too goofy for some people's taste. However, my instincts tell me, from what I've seen of him is on Twitter, is that he's a smart guy. He knows how to he reasons out his thinking. He doesn't just tweet out, let me tweet out something here. And he was going out with the Tank Davis fans. Because the Tank Davis, he was saying, look, listen, if Tank Davis can't get a big fight at 135, perhaps he should move up to 140. Tank Davis fans subsequently said, why are you laughing so much? So he's on the happy tobacco.
You brought up that guy. Showbiz BDA, his eyes freak me out.
Oh, come on. We're not talking about his eyes or physical appearance. We're talking about what he said. And listen, it's very interesting because the Tank Davis fans then said, he's too small. Tank Davis is too small. Why do you want him to go up to 140? And then Showbiz turned it around on them and said, okay, so you guys keep saying that he's a special fighter. Special fighters jump divisions. So you're saying he's not that special, or he's not as special as guys who've done it before. Guys like Henry Armstrong, Manny Pacquiao, Shit, even Adrian Broner jumped from 135 to 140. Yeah, and I know the argument is, well, that those guys weren't 5'5". Technically, Pacquiao is about 5'5". I don't think he doesn't look like he's 5'7", 5'6". I think he's like 5'5". But anyway, the point is, great fighters are supposed to take risks, especially if there's nothing going on in their respective divisions. So I like how he turned it around on the Tank Davis fans, and now the Tank Davis fans are left scrambling because they've been annoying.
I've heard the counter argument that like, oh well, he's been up to 140, he's been to 130. He's a couple division champ, right? Like 3 division champ. Mm-hmm. And when he was at 140, like I'm just saying, I've heard what people echo this. You know what I mean? That Davis said that he don't feel good at that weight, and he's not going to go back up to that weight. So it's going to be hard to get him to accept a fight at that weight class, unless he's like dying to make weight. You know what I mean? So
right.
Yeah, like it's going to be. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we're going to see that till like closer to the end of his career. But but if you're his fan, what they say is, well, he's already done it.
Well, let me ask you this. Again, we're getting into speculation mode here, speculative mode. When Haney lost that O, it really took away his aura of invincibility. Not that he was ever a star, because that's what he's going to try to prove in court, right? Like, the Ryan Garcia loss affected my marketability. He was never that marketable to begin with. But in the eyes of the fans, he lost a lot of respect because for them, the O, especially American fans, the O is sacrosanct. It's sacred. It's venerated. And without that O, he's just another boring guy that can't really crack. Tank Davis is boring up until the knockouts, but that's the thing. He can crack. My question to you, Sobers, is he has a lot of diehard fans on Twitter. Now, they don't necessarily buy his fights. I think they're a Firestick family. But they certainly seem to be very ambitious when it comes to defending him. My question to you is, if he were to lose a close decision, do you think that would really affect his standing? I mean, is that what Showtime, not Showtime, is that what the PBC is worried about? That if he loses any type of way, that's it, it's over for him?
Yeah, I think it would be hard to sell him after that because so take away Davis's. What is he? Like a minor champion at that weight class, right?
Right.
So I mean, I don't know. No, he wouldn't even be a champion anymore, right? If he lost, but I don't know. I feel like like you're saying with with the American marketability, dude, that zero, that undefeated, that's everything. And once you lose that, people just stop caring. Devin Haney got his own back, and people still don't care. You just get that nasty ass whooping, and then they're just done with you. They throw you away. Whether that's right or not. I mean, whatever. That's what it is.
Well, you know what? That's the question I'm asking then too. Especially if people are going to call in, we're going to be opening the phone lines soon. So don't forget to hit that like. It really motivates us to open up the phone lines then. But that's a question that I'm interested. I'm interested in hearing points of view on that. Do you guys think, why is Tank Davis being protected so much? Like, let's say he loses. Why? Like, would that really affect? Because I know there is that reality that the PBC knows that he doesn't sell on pay-per-view. But like I said, there is something to work with. He's got fans on Twitter. He does well at the gate. What really is the fear here? Are they really in Floyd Mayweather era mode where they think one loss is over?
Well, also, BDA got to look at the manner in which he loses, right? Mm-hmm. Say someone knocks him out with one punch. I mean, that's going to be over, right? It's like the ore's gone. You get knocked out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That wouldn't be good. But then also, say if I someone like Steven, say he loses a decision, BDA. How is he going to lose a decision? It's not going to be close. It's going to be wide because when he's fighting, he's losing most of the time until he gets a knockout. You know what I mean? We're used to seeing him lose a lot of rounds. So if he does end up losing a decision, it'll be a wide decision. And then, someone like Stevenson, like, damn, he 9-3'd him. People aren't gonna respect him without his power. It's like kind of what this Deontay Wilder effect. You know what I mean? Joseph Parker wasn't scared of him after he seen Tyson Fury whoop his ass, and he stepped to him. And we're not even used to him fighting like that.
That's a great point. That's a great point. That aura of him is because, like you said, it's a great point because you're right. Tank Davis does like Wilder. His fights are very competitive up until the knockout. For a guy that's supposed to be a top 10 pound for pound guy, he loses a lot of rounds, especially against guys that aren't all that good to begin with. At least compared to the status that is bestowed upon him by his hardcore fans. But be that as it may, I'll tell you one thing, though. I do think Tank Davis, when he gets on his back foot bitch mode, he's very hard to hit. So I don't know if he would lose with the judges in his pocket or whatever, I think it would be very difficult to school him because of those defensive abilities. And he always has that equalizer, which is the punching power. But again, people were saying the same thing about Wilder not that long ago. If he lands once, it's over. It's like, no, man. Nobody just lands once and it's over. He wasn't, people made it out to be as if Wilder touched you and you were out cold. Nah, okay, maybe he could discombobulate you and maybe the follow-up would stop you. But Tyson Fury got up. Joseph Parker never got hurt. Neither did Zhilei Zhang. Although, well, maybe he got stunned a little bit. But I mean, if he can't take you out, you're taking him out. And it's the same thing with Tank Davis. He's not a high volume guy. And that's the other thing, Sobers. The way his fans talk about him, they make it seem as if, because he fights very reserved, right? Like he fought against Ryan Garcia.
You don't understand, BDA. He could outbox Roberto Duran on the inside. He could outdog.
But you don't understand what I'm saying is that his fans make it out to be that this dude is only fighting at 50% of his abilities. And that if he really wanted to, one day he's going to show us what it's like when he turns it up. I mean, listen, I'm going to tell you this. I like the Frank Martin fight. I mean, if you rewatch the episodes leading to the Frank Martin fight, I was talking a lot about that fight because I was intrigued. I thought Frank Martin's speed and respectable power was going to make it interesting. And make it interesting it was. Or indeed it happened, rather. Tank Davis, I give him credit for not fighting in his usual ass style. He actually went for Martin because he had to. I don't think he was going to outbox him. Yeah.
You know why I think, BDA? Because I think the big difference in that fight, the big X factor in that fight was the intimidation factor.
Mm-hmm.
I think Frank Martin was intimidated. And not necessarily that he didn't have the physical attributes to win or the skills. He was just fighting too scared that he looked like he was waiting to get knocked out, kind of.
Right.
And he did. But even then, he marked up his face, and he was faster than him for a while. You know what I mean? Like, he was still winning rounds, being terrified. So, I mean, that's just not good, bro. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, once that someone can get over that mental block, whatever, I guess this guy's reputation, people see him and they get kind of shook or whatever. Once he gets in there with someone who doesn't respect him like that, like, you get and it's usually someone with a language barrier, like when Pitbull got in there, like he didn't know none of the shit he was saying, or he doesn't know anything about this dude. So he's like, "You're just somebody else to me. I'm gonna fight you." He didn't think, "Oh, I'm fighting Tank Davis." I'm fighting Tank Davis. I'm just fighting this dude with braids. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's how Pisa Cruz fought him.
Yeah.
But you're right. Now it's because again, marketing works. Marketing works, and the marketing right now about Tank Davis is that this fight. A lot of these guys believe it. They think he's Mike Tyson, where he's not really Mike Tyson. They're fighting a dude that's gonna run around the ring and try to run you into something. And that's the other thing is I appreciate the fact that Tank Davis tried to be more aggressive against Frank Martin, or rather was more aggressive. But you saw that. See, again, we go back to the whole Regis Prograis saying disparaging the Mexican style. It takes skill to come forward, open yourself up to counters, and still remain defensively responsible. Because when Canelo, I've said it before, and I've made videos about this. Compare, let's say, Canelo's guard, high guard, to a guy like Nicky Holzken. He was a kickboxer that was in the super middleweight version of the tournament a couple of years ago, when you had George Groves, Chris Eubank, and what's his name?
Yeah, he fought Callum Smith, right?
Yeah, he fought Callum Smith. He's got a good high guard. You can tell the guy's strong, so he's got a high guard. But then you look at how he's blocking shots. He's just standing there stiff as a board, absorbing the shots on the guard. Whereas you look at a guy like Canelo, or even a guy like Chocolatito, that's another dude. They're picking the shots off with their guard. It's a dynamic guard. It's an active guard. They're moving the gloves ever so slightly to deflect the shots, take away sting. And so that's the difference. I didn't see that from Tank Davis against Frank Martin. That's why he was marked up. Not necessarily because a lot of punches were getting through, although some of them were, but because he's taking the shots full on, flush on the face. I mean, his guard against his face from a guy who can crack in Frank Martin. So that's essentially what happened with him. But I mean, I appreciated the fact that he became more aggressive. But again, his skills are lacking in comparison to guys like Inoue, Usyk, Canelo, shit, even Crawford. Who I think Crawford's a tad bit overrated when it comes to skills. But I mean, he's on another level compared to Tank Davis. So,
yeah, and it is because his opposition, BDA. When people bring up consistently, when this question is asked, the name that comes up consistently, like, okay, who's the best guy he's fought? It's Pedraza, and that's when he looked the best.
Right.
And he was throwing combinations. He was fighting on the inside. He was getting hit, and he showed that he could step up and take a fight to somebody else. But since then, that hasn't happened to him. And you know what happens when he's feasting on these opponents. You start making mistakes. You start getting lazy. Iron sharpens iron. You can't do it against wood. So it's just dull. His blade's just getting dull, and so are his skills. And you see it, bro. That's why he keeps losing rounds. That's why he was getting, had a really tough fight with Pitbull Cruz when he was supposed to knock him out low key.
Low key.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean it's just what happens, dude. When these guys are fed soft, when they finally step up, they end up, getting a pie in their face.
Well, I mean the one of the prime examples
Green
of that.
pie.
Oh, come on, man. What are you doing? Trying to keep it clean here. Yeah, one of the examples of that is Deontay Wilder. Not that I do think, obviously, Tank Davis is more skilled than Deontay Wilder, but it was the same principle with Wilder, or the same effect, or the same scenario where he was fighting guys like Szpilka and Gerald Washington and losing rounds to those dudes. Very uneventful fights, competitive fights.
I saw Szpilka get knocked out on Friday Night Fights, BDA.
Well, I mean, listen, hey, a guy's got to make a living, even if it's getting knocked out. But the point is, of course, he was going to lose by the first time he stepped up. He almost lost the first time he stepped up against Luis Ortiz, an old man who was having heart palpitations in the dressing room right before the fight. So obviously, no surprise that Tyson Fury beat him.
Right before the fight.
Right, he was. He was getting dialysis or something right before the fight. I forget exactly what was going on. But,
oh my God, I didn't even know that, bro.
Yeah, man, there was some sort of medical complication right before, like right in the dressing room, an hour or two before the fight.
Replace his pacemaker in the back.
Yeah, they were checking his replacement hip, see if everything was gonna hold up during the fight. But this dude Wilder, I mean, you know the story. Do I have to rehash it? People after he lost to Zhang and Parker, people were like, he can't pull the trigger anymore. And I remember thinking, nah, man, he never pulled the trigger, really. I mean, it took him a bunch of rounds to get Szpilka out of there, Gerald Washington, Luis Ortiz twice. He finally stepped up in competition later on, and he got whooped. And that's sort of a similar thing that's going to happen with Tank Davis. Now, here's my thing, Sobers. I still pick Shakur Stevenson, despite his boring style. I'd still pick him to beat Shakur Stevenson. But lately, I've been less confident in picking Shakur Stevenson because of his lack of power, the fact that he will probably fight him like the way he fought De Los Santos, in a very negative manner where he's not throwing that many shots. And I mean, they could take the fight away from him. Well, what are your thoughts on the potential Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson fight? Sobers is staying silent.
If I'm just looking at I was on mute. I don't know. I was gonna say I would favor Shakur Stevenson, right? Just looking at their styles and stuff like that. But then you would have to take into that the mental factor, the intimidation. If he goes in there, he fights terrified, like Frank Martin, waiting to get knocked out. You're gonna get knocked out, So that's one thing that I'm not too sure about because Stevenson, you know what I mean. I remember him saying this specifically after that De Los Santos fight. Oh, people saying I was fighting like a bitch. He was fighting like a bitch too. And it's like, dude, you don't know that you're confirming what people say about you when you said that comment.
Right.
So you get scared in there and you let us know. So if he's scared in there against him, like he'll get knocked out by something. But I mean, if he shows up with the right, like his skills and he boxes, I would favor him to win. You have to see how they act during the face-off and stuff and how they talking.
Yeah, that's the main problem with Shakur Stevenson saying, he ain't do shit either. And I'm thinking, yeah, but like you said, he's not tacitly, he's basically pretty much admitting his lack of activity in there. And then, of course, he had to come up with the excuses because he knew that's another way of saying or admitting, yeah, my performance wasn't all that. I still would pick him over Tank Davis, but again, my confidence rating in him has decreased somewhat. Now, how well do you think that fight would do on pay-per-view?
I don't think it'd be anything special. I think it'd be less than 500,000.
Really?
But it'd be like three or something like that. I don't know. 3 or 4.
Yeah,
I don't think it would be terrible, but then I think it wouldn't be anything. He's not beating any Canelo numbers. He's not gonna do more than any of Ryan's fights.
Right.
And if Ryan and Devin Haney only did 300,000, I don't know, man. Like that might be the ceiling for it right there.
Well, let me ask you this then: which fight would do better then? Teofimo Lopez versus Tank Davis, or Shakur Stevenson versus Tank Davis?
Teofimo versus Tank Davis.
Now, do you say that because of the trash talking, or do you say that because at least it's two power punchers going at it?
Not even because that, but because the racial politics are going to go to be a Latino and it's going to be a black dude, and that always sells. And that's also the PBC secret recipe. So I think that's
the PBC secret recipe. Like that's like the KFC. That's like the Colonel's secret recipe.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, bro. 32 flavors of in pythons.
42 races. The 12 tribes of Israel. Because a lot of these guys, they think they're true Israelites. Yeah, we're gonna get to Teofimo Lopez, but let me just take an opportunity here to please people hit the like. It really helps us out. The phone lines have been opened. In case you guys want to call in, let us give us your thoughts on everything boxing. By the way, we're at 73 likes. If 17 people hear that like and get us to at least 90, putting us 10 away from 100. I'm not asking for 100. I'm asking for 17. So please get us up to 90 likes and really appreciate it, guys, and we can continue on the show here. And by the way, let me just read
Oh, my bad.
Let me just read a super chat here real quick. Shout out to Fight or Flight Boxing for his contribution with the super chat. He says, Pedraza was 8 years ago. Talking about Tank Davis' win over Pedraza. That was 8 years ago. That was the last time Tank fought a champion, and the only one too. And he's on the pound-for-pound list. Well, that's an interesting thing because, one of the knocks against Inoue from American fans was that, which pound-for-pounder has Inoue beat to be in the pound-for-pound list? Which pound-for-pounder? Doesn't that same apply to Tank Davis? What's the big name? What's the big pound-for-pound guy that he's beaten to be in there?
I have no idea why they put him on there. It doesn't make any sense.
Do we have to go back to the list? Do we have to go back to the ESPN pound for pound list? Because on the website, they tell you who voted, which writer voted for which guy on the pound for pound rankings. I think we should prompt that up. But I also wanted to tell people, the phone lines are open in case anybody wants to call in. Oh, and indeed, somebody wants to call in. So let's take a couple of phone calls here, and then we'll get back. We still got to talk about Teofimo Lopez and him trying to secure himself a big fight. Let's go to, hold on a second, let me make sure everything's hunky-dory. Let's go to 469. 469, you're on the air. 469, what's on your mind?
Hold up, I'm eating some chicken right now.
Is that right? What type of chicken? What type of chicken? Roasted chicken?
All right. Since we talking about rumors, wasn't the rumor that Ryan Garcia sold 1 million pay-per-views?
Against who?
Wasn't that a rumor? Against nigga. Who you think it was against?
I don't know. You tell me, nigga.
You tell me. What was the rumor? Ryan Garcia sold 1 million pay-per-views.
I don't know. I never heard it. So you tell me.
So Ryan Garcia didn't sell 1 million with Devin Haney. He never sold 900,000. That wasn't a rumor.
Against who? I'm asking.
Devin Haney.
I never heard that. No.
So nobody ever said he sold 900,000, 800,000. Never happened.
See, that's why I'm telling you to tell me who said that, because I don't know. I already told you 2 times. I haven't heard it. So you tell me who said that.
What you mean?
Well, actually, we talked about it, bro. We did talk about it earlier. We said there's a bunch of different sources with a bunch of different numbers.
Yeah, but I don't remember 900,000 to 1 million. That I never heard anyone say Haney Garcia did that.
What were the numbers? What was the projected numbers y'all were saying Ryan sold with Devin Haney?
I'd have to check because I don't have them with me now. But I will say this. I think it was.
Don't know. We don't know. We don't know no more. We don't know.
Can you let me finish? Listen, if you ask me a question,
it was a simple question.
Hold on. If you ask me a question, if you ask me a question, take a bite out of your chicken, which sounds delicious, and then let me answer the question. Can you do that?
I'm done.
You think you can do that?
I'm done.
No, I'm asking you.
I'm done.
Can you do that?
I'm just asking the question. So now we don't know what we were saying the Ryan and Devin Haney pay-per-view numbers were, right? We don't know.
Is that what I said? Is that what I said?
We never made projections.
Is that what I said? Is that what I said?
I'm just asking.
Is that what I said? I'm just asking.
I'm just asking. We don't.
I'm just asking. I'm just asking though. I'm just asking.
Now we don't know.
I'm just asking.
I just didn't say that.
I'm just asking.
I just said you didn't say anything.
No, I'm just asking. You said. I'm just asking.
Now
I'm just
we don't
asking.
know.
I'm just asking.
What are you asking me?
I'm asking you. Well, what do you think I'm asking you?
What are you asking?
Well, what do you think I'm asking you?
I don't know. You haven't said it. You haven't said it.
I'm playing this guy's game. He doesn't get it.
Asking.
I'm playing your game. You don't get it, man. Okay, listen. Take a bite out of your chicken. Take a bite out of your chicken, your biscuits and gravy, and let me get at this.
I'm done eating my chicken. Tell me what you're asking.
It doesn't sound like it. I still hear a little chicken in the background.
Tell me chew on the bone marrow, BDA.
I'm done.
And I'll answer the question.
Tell me what you're asking.
Chew on the gristle, bro, and I'll answer the question. Hold on, I'll answer the question.
Go ahead, Silvers.
I brought it up. Hold on, I brought it up, and I asked BDA. I think it was like around. I said like 5 to 6.
Is that what it was?
100K.
So now I think it was 5 to 6.
And I asked him because I was. Hold on, bro. Let me finish, dude. I asked him because I was unsure, right? And then BDA said, "I don't know either." So we don't know what that. We just know that it was higher than 300,000.
This is the type of caller that when he goes to the DMV or Walmart or the store, he's in line. He's praying that they give him the wrong change so he can make an issue out of it. Like, I'm just praying. I just want somebody to argue with. Somebody, please just argue with me today, please. He wants to get hard. I bet you. Hey, Sobers, do you think he got into a fight with the guy who delivered his chicken? He must have, right? He must have made an issue out of the gravy. The biscuits weren't done properly.
He said, "I ordered 7, I only got 5. You ate some of my chicken."
And then he tries to get a discount. Man, you're gonna give me a discount, or I'm gonna sue you.
Hey, BDA, let me tell you a funny story that actually happened to me.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Someone. Oh no, I know. I told you right. With Domino's, they were about an hour late.
Y'all blocked me?
Yes. Oh my bad. Is he still here?
Yeah, he's still here. But I want to hear you. I want to hear your Domino's story.
All right, so they come to bring my food, right, and then they turn around and leave on the GPS as soon as they get here, and I'm calling them like, "Yo, you're an hour late, and my food, you just left my driveway with the food," and they're like, "Oh yeah, man, it was the wrong order, so they're gonna bring your food to you right now." So I'm trying to get ghetto too, and I'm like, "Well, so what you finna give me for the inconvenience?"
Hello.
Oh, wait a minute, you tried to do that?
Hello.
Yeah, and I'm like, "What you finna give me for the inconvenience? Because you're an hour late, and He says, "I'm gonna bring you your food," and I'm like, "You're gonna bring it to me cold?" And he goes, "It's gonna be warm." So I'm getting bothered now, BDA. I'm like, "You know what? Let me just go ahead and get a refund." I'm like, "What's your name, man? What's your name?" And he goes, "Oh, it's D." Right? So I heard him say that, and I'm like, "Oh, he's trying to get me, bro. He's trying to get me. He's trying to get me." I got it. So I'm like, "D." I was like, "Your name is D's Nuts?"
Hello.
And he goes, "Ha, you're funny," and he hangs up on me, bro. But that's what that shit reminded me of.
He really does, man. Well, listen, caller. Hopefully that answers your question, and make sure to call in the next time, right, man? Take it easy.
Am I muted?
All right. Hopefully that answers his question. That you really sometimes a customer is not right. I think that's what he needs to. I think that's what he needed to hear too. All right, listen, fellas, we got no time to waste here. Let's go to another phone call here, and don't forget to hit the like. Hello, hit the like. Hello. All right, let's go to 210. 210. You're on the air. 210. What's on your mind?
Yo, this is Southpaw, man. What the fuck was that?
Well, I mean, that's one of our prime callers right there, man. That's what the BDA show is all about, entertainment.
It's a Tank fanboy who y'all triggered, and he's calling, and the first thing they do is the whataboutism. They're like, "Oh, well, what did y'all say about Ryan Garcia?" And you guys never said that he sold that many pay-per-views. He's taking what somebody else put probably on Twitter that was arguing with him and saying that, "Oh, well, I guess this is what people who don't like Tank are saying." So he automatically assumes that you're Ryan Garcia fans, and he's trying to throw the whataboutism. "Oh, what did y'all think about?" And he had, dude, it's like that Adam Sandler clip, the Billy Madison, when he's like, we're all dumber because of what you just said. Like, that's that caller, man. Like, they're trying to use whataboutism as if you guys are Ryan Garcia fans and trying to attack you in an angle as if you're Ryan Garcia fans. But you guys don't like Ryan Garcia neither. So this guy is an idiot.
Well, listen, everything you said was on the money there, except that when you said that you're blaming us for triggering him. I mean, we didn't do anything. We just, we're just speculating here about
well, no,
Tank Davis
you
fans.
triggered him. You triggered him, man. You didn't do it intentionally because if you tell the truth about Tank and Devin and Wilder and the whole PBC charade, that it triggers these guys. They don't like the truth. And unfortunately, we live in an era where there's so many agendas out there, so many people putting out different stories and through other sources, and people can just grab whatever narrative that fits what they want to believe and run with it because it's just like politics, man. You got Fox, you got CNN. Boxing is the same damn way, man. So these guys are crazy, man. Like, I don't know, man. I feel bad. He's probably a sickle cell. So I don't want to make fun of him too bad.
Come on.
Anyways.
Yeah, what was on your mind there?
What I wanted to say about the whole Devin, the Lomachenko, I hear what y'all are saying about Lomachenko. One thing you got to remember about Lomachenko is that he gave up money to give to Teofimo Lopez because Teofimo started giving Top Rank shit about the negotiation. Oh, I want more money. I want more money. You know, the American brats do that. So what Lomachenko does? He says, okay, give him some of my cut so we can make the fight. Just have him shut up and fight. So the Americans are the problem, man. It's Teo, it's Ryan Garcia, it's Devin Haney, it's Tank. Tank is the biggest diva. I mean, he's the biggest fraud out there. So, and who else can we name? Who else can we name? Like Shakur Stevenson.
Let me ask you this:
whole crop of Americans.
Is Crawford turning into a diva?
No, I think he's on his Canelo type, a different kind of diva where I've accomplished, I did this, so I can do whatever I want, and I just want to make a bunch of money on my way out. So that's different. You know what I mean? So those two guys are different. And you know what's crazy is that as much as I don't like Tank and I don't like Devin, I give Devin and Ryan more credit because they're brats, they're divas, just like Tank. But at least those two guys stepped up to the plate. They sacked up and they fought the guys. You know what I mean? Even Ryan, he's crazy for taking that weight drain clause and all that. But you know what? He fought the fights. Tank would never do that. Tank would never take a risk. He's 30 years old. You think with his bad habits at 30 years old, at that weight, he's ever going to take risks? If he didn't take them when he was 25, he's never going to take them because that's old for the weight, and it's going to catch up to him the way he did with Spence. So this guy's a fraud. He's never going to fight anybody, and it's crazy that Devin has more balls than Tank because he actually fought the fight. The same thing with Ryan. And I know Mario Barrios. When I used to cover boxing, I actually was covering his team when he was a prospect. The kid is straight up, man. He's not a liar, and he's loyal. And you're seeing that's why PBC is they're taking care of him. He keeps getting title shots and paydays. So he's not lying when he said he had the rehydration clause. He was dehydrated.
Jeez, Luis. I mean, I got to tell you, it's one thing after the other over there at the PBC. And that's a frightful proposition that Tank Davis is going to keep doing this no matter what anyone says. That is really disappointing. Anything else you want to say, Southpaw, before we move on?
No, I mean, it's a gimmick, man, but he does have a niche audience. But the thing is, because I got my young cousins, they box, and they're youngsters. They got the little Edgar haircuts. They like this mumble rap and stuff. They like Tank. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like people in a certain type of demographic like Tank. But the funny thing is that kind of demographic usually doesn't buy shit. So I don't know. They'll show up to fights if it's in town, but they'll never support the pay-per-view. They'll steal it. So that's all I gotta say, man. This is just crazy. Thank God for these Eastern Europeans. And Paulie Malignaggi, I don't like him either, but he did predict that these Eastern Europeans, since the wall came down, they're gonna soon take over boxing, man, because they're even taking over like the Latin fighters, the Mexicans, bro. Like these Russians, the Russians are coming, dude. And so boxing might be more niche in America in the future because it's going to be all foreign fighters. And like you saw with Tim, man, these guys ain't no joke. And they're going to take over. And honestly, I hope it happens.
Well, there you go. We'll see what happens, man. Thank you for your call there, Southpaw, and call back next time. Take it easy out there.
All right, man.
Yeah, the it's a communist takeover. The commies. I don't like the commies, let me tell you. But I mean, if they get the job done, that's what it's all about. Let's go to our phone call here. Let's go to 410. 410, you're in the air. 410. What's on your mind?
What's up there, buddy?
Oh, what's up, man?
Going on, bro? Tank Davis. I'm a Tank Davis fan. He's an exciting fighter. Big puncher. Everybody knows. Maybe the best puncher I've seen at 135. I do have to give him credit for that. Beyond that, I'm disappointed with him, man. When have you ever seen an A-size guy, and his people can't get done telling everyone how he's the A-side, he's the money guy? When have you ever seen an A-side money guy have so much trouble making fights? Because according to them, everybody is ducking them. I don't think so. The writing's on the wall. The guy's been protected. They said early on they're going to match him against PBC fighters exclusively, which is what they've done, with the exception of Ryan, who had to, go over there for the PBC. That fight was a PBC promotion. They were the lead promoter, as far as I understand. And they put every A-side, everything they could do with the rehydration, the catch weight, the whole thing, everything they could do, they put on him. Recently, Tank finally mentions Lomachenko's name. What happens? They go into negotiations. A weekend, everybody's on board. Bob, Arum, Loma, everybody's on board. 2 weeks in, it's like, hey, everybody's reading this fight. It looks like it's going to happen. 2.5 to 3 weeks in, one of the fighters, Loma, does a complete 360. I should tell you something. By 3 weeks in, they're down to the real nitty-gritty of the negotiations. Not just the purse split, but the live gate split, the revenue split of the merchandise, pay-per-view split, what sponsors are going to get what space. And to me, it's very clear. They were trying to give Loma a one-way deal. And you got to know that fight was going to be a PBC promotion also, right off the get. They were going to be the head promoter. And for Loma to do, if he wasn't interested in fighting, why would he entered into the negotiation to begin with? And 3 weeks in, like I said, everything was going hunky-dory, but then it just fell apart entirely. Now, you haven't heard Tank Davis say that Loma ducked him. Have you heard that?
That's a good
point. I haven't.
That's a great point. Yeah, he hasn't. Just to confirm, you haven't heard Tank Davis say anything about Loma's ducking me?
No, he certainly has not. Huh. And, the PBC has proven in the past that they will put gag orders on negotiations where, they don't want their business in the street. Okay, I get that. So you don't really hear much from Loma either, other than he just walked away from negotiations that were going along swimmingly. They seem to be going along, at least what we were reading, the press clippings and stuff, that it was going along swimmingly. There's a reason why he's not fighting these other guys, and it's a simple one, and it ain't nothing new. He's being protected. They're protecting him. And he apparently is cool with it. I don't know if there's much he can do about it. Somebody's paying for these fights, so he's not really his own boss, which is another misnomer in boxing. People talk, Devin Haney's his own promoter. Okay, well, he's doing a horrible job, because why doesn't he just go make himself a fight if he's his own promoter? The guy can't buy a fight right now.
That's right.
These guys, they're not their own promoters until they finance the fight, right? That's what makes them their own promoter, when they are the one financing the fight, not when you're signing with Eddie Hearn, Bob Arum, 3-fight deals. Last I checked, if you're your own promoter, you don't have to do that, right? Because I get sick and tired of hearing, especially with Haney, that he's his own promoter. No, him or his dad has a promoter license. Maybe they got a few fighters, they put on some small cards here and there. But the active job of the promoter is to finance the fight. And that's why he's sitting on the bench right now. You see what I mean?
Right. And you know what?
Anyway.
You brought up the great point, just real quick, because I have to emphasize this, that like you said, in the beginning, or a year ago, the Tank Davis fans were clowning Shakur Stevenson and Haney and all these guys for calling out Tank Davis and saying, hey, you see, Tank Davis is the face of boxing. All roads lead to Tank Davis. Now it's all these guys are avoiding Tank Davis. Since when is the A side? Like, do you ever remember people avoiding Sugar Ray Leonard, like Mike McCollum and all these guys. Oh, I don't want to fight Sugar Ray Leonard. They all want to fight Sugar Ray Leonard for the millions of dollars. Same thing with De La Hoya and Mayweather and Pacquiao. The A side does not get avoided because he brings in a lot of rewards. What are you telling me? Tank Davis is so dangerous that these guys don't even want to fight him for millions? Come on. That's a great point right there.
If Frank Martin isn't afraid to fight Tank Davis, neither is Shakur Stevenson or any of the other ones. Lopez, none of them. If this guy, Roach, or this opponent that he's got coming up, if he ain't afraid, what will make you think that those guys that are higher ranked and better fighters are afraid? It ain't about being afraid or him being the dangerous. It's about, if we don't get the right deal, we're not taking it. Everybody's not Ryan Garcia. See, Ryan bent a knee to every single thing. And I'm not really going to fault them for it simply because he got a shit ton of money. And in the end, that's what they fight for. They fight for the money. That's all of them, right? Exactly. So, Oscar told him, he shouldn't have done it and everything. Well, that's easy for Oscar because Oscar's got millions of dollars. I think... what's his name, Ryan, he kind of knew that was going to be a big fight and win, lose, or draw. He would come out with a great big stack of money, which, according to reports, he did. But that's not the case for Lomachenko. Lomachenko's not popular like that. He's got to get the right deal, just like Lopez or Haney or any one of these guys. If you're going to fight the cash cow, you should get treated and a payment and commiseration with that. But they have it their own way over there at the PBC, where they just pluck one of their in-house fighters or they'll sign a guy. They're not terrible fighters that Tank has beat. You can't say that they're terrible fighters, but we're getting too long into the game now for this guy to not have faced any of the elite fighters that we really, that we all want to see. And, and lastly, he said in an interview, and everyone heard it when he was asked, how many times have you asked for these guys? And straight out of his own mouth, astonishing admission, never. He said, to be honest, never.
There you go. That says it all right there.
That tells you all you need to know. Sorry, guys.
All right, Jerry, thank you for your call, man. Good to hear from you as always, and call back next time, man. Take it easy out there. All right, let's go to another phone call. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Really helps out. Let's go to another phone call. Let's go to 631. 631, you're on the air. 631, what's on your mind?
Well, I guess I'll just go with the Davis stuff first. So I can't really pin down, to be honest, why they're having these random venue problems. I'm kind of more inclined to believe what Rick Glacier's starting to say, because I'm pretty sure Davis, when he left Floyd, he probably was thinking that he was going to leave and he was going to get all this money all the time, and his options, the money's just not there for him. And on top of that, I think this predicament that he found himself in, it really is all his fault. And I think it's just a result of what the PBC were doing for all these years, because you can't basically have your career just be, I'm going to be isolated from everybody else, and then just try to speed run into just fighting everybody else when you feel it's convenient. That's not how things work. Everybody has their own, different type of schedule. And on top of that, I wish I had said it here or somewhere else, but I kind of predicted that this would happen because I started noticing it when Teo left. Because, in the original time, everybody was talking about how popular lightweight was. And then when Teo left, I said, why are you guys still mentioning Teo? He's not at lightweight right now. And then out of nowhere, people were still mentioning Devin. I was like, why are you guys mentioning Devin? That dude looked like Skeletor the last time he fought at lightweight. He's not going to be at lightweight again. And then, Shakur came in, and I was like, finally, you got some reinforcement. But then he didn't want to fight Shakur Stevenson. His coach, came out and said, what was it? We're not going to fight a guy that's not going to allow us to do what we want or something like that. Basically, we're not going to fight a guy that's not going to sit there and let us knock him out. And then right after, it just continued on and on. Garcia's gone after your fight. You can't make a rematch with him unless it's at a higher weight class. And Lomachenko, he's thinking about retiring now. And just looking at him, just like, man, it's weird just watching a dude that act so, I guess, just stuck up and bougie for his entire time at lightweight, just so he could be left in the cold like this. Oh, and also
What?
you were talking before. You were talking about Tank Davis being like the face of boxing, or like if people are avoiding him for millions. I'm not saying people are avoiding him, but I also want to say that I don't think his like most of his fights are as for as much money as like people like say they are. Like people say, these guys are getting their career high paydays, and I agree. But most of the guys he fights, their paydays before they fought Tank Davis might be like $40K on a shitty PBC card.
Right.
And
that's a good point. That's a good point.
But to get to Lopez.
I do think Shakur Stevenson probably is looking for more money. I think he probably make more money against Tank Davis than against Cepeda. So I don't think Shakur Stevenson is avoiding him. I don't think Lomachenko is avoiding him. I don't even know who else they said was avoiding him, but that was one of the narratives. But yeah, you want to say something about Lopez?
Yeah, so because you brought it up earlier, and I've always like been someone who kind of like harped on this because I would always hear, especially earlier on, that Lopez was being treated badly by Top Rank, and that he should be a bigger star, and it's the fault of our society, it's racial politics, it's all of that. And then I really thought about it, and I said, I don't understand what Lopez does. He does have entertaining fights, don't get me wrong, but to really endear himself to the fans, like even the area he's from, he's tried to be the guy from New York, right? He's trying to sell out Madison Square Garden and stuff. I don't know who you're gonna particularly try to sell to. The Puerto Ricans, I remember you insulting them. You called all Puerto Ricans easy. You said their fighters are easy. You were kind of clowning them, to be honest. I don't know why they would want to go to your fights. And do we even need to talk about what he said about black people?
So you're saying
I didn't think so. So realistically, that's dead. And then I don't think he's ever going to really sell in Florida. I just don't think that's a huge boxing place in general. And then on top of that, he changes his flag like every couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's.
You think I'm joking?
No.
It went from it was all Honduras, all American, all Spain, and now he hasn't come out with it yet. But I bet you right now he's coming out with a Mexican flag next time he fights.
You know what? I'm gonna put a bet, and I'm gonna say he's gonna identify as a Haitian woman next time. But yeah, go ahead, man.
But yeah, it's like that. And on top of that, and this is the one thing that I've seen from him that's killed me when I see it, because I'll see him have one of those big wins, right? He had the big win over Lomachenko. And when I saw him have that win, I saw the viewership. I saw how much people were talking about it. I saw friends that, because this was during pandemic, right, that I hadn't speaked at like since like high school. And they were talking about it, guys that I didn't even ever hear talk about boxing when I was at high school were talking about it. So he really made a huge leap. And you know what he did? He decided to bitch about money and not fight for a year and killed off all that momentum in a brief year. Oh, and then he lost, of course. That didn't help.
Yeah, I know you're right.
And then after the Josh Taylor fight, I thought he would learn better. But instead, he took off. I don't think he took off a year, did he? Or did he? He didn't take off a year, but he took off a decent amount of time. And then he comes back against Jermaine Ortiz, and he just puts on a lackluster fight. And it's like, man, like, it seems like you're in your own way of becoming a bigger star. Oh, and the statements, of course, aren't helping. Like, everything he does seems to be in the way of himself becoming a star. So I don't understand why people always throw a pity party for this dude every chance they get.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, this dude is. I mean, he did it like you said in 2021. He's doing it again with all his antics. They're not selling, so I don't understand what the point is of continuing on. I guess he's just doubling down now at this point. But I mean, I do like him as a fighter, so I hope to see him more often. But it's just he's another one of those guys who seems to be deluded about his words. So that's always going to be a problem nowadays, even with the Sheik throwing money everywhere. Well, listen, caller, we got to move on. But thank you for your call, and call back next time. All right. Take it easy out there.
All right.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, Teofimo Lopez. We got to talk about him. But first, we gotta get to a couple more phone calls here. Let's go to 412. 412, you're on the air. 412. What's on your mind?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, indeed. We can hear you, man. What's up?
Yeah, so, I think what people have to realize is, like, this isn't the days of, Sugar Ray Leonard and, Mike McCallum, Duran. Like, those guys, they didn't have, the number of income streams they had was limited, all right? So, yeah, it's easy for us to say, well, they're overestimating how much they're worth. But the thing is, we don't know how much they're making, like, just in passive income, like, without doing boxing. Just the fact that they are faces in boxing, it's earning them a lot of money. And so what happens is it changes their incentives, right? Their incentive now is to remain a name as long as possible. And the way you do that is you tease the big fights, but you never fight the big fights, right? And so it's just the way it is. Like somebody else said, like they're not afraid of each other. Like they if there's enough money on the table, they will fight. But ultimately, it comes down to holding their spot and milking it in other ways, right? And so that's why you don't see some of these other cultures. They don't do that. Like, guys like Beterbiev and, all these guys, it's not their thing, right? They're not going to like have multiple streams. They're not gonna be out there from an advertising perspective. And so ultimately, like what they're going to do is they're going to make their money by fighting. That's their only sort of route. And what they do is they just go chase the fights. They're also more interested in accolades. Like the ex-Soviet fighters, they grew up where, like Beterbiev, he didn't become a pro until he was like maybe 30 years old. And that's because he was trying to get a gold medal. Because like the way they were raised, like the gold medal is like it's like the pinnacle,
Now you're right,
not the
man.
Hall of Fame.
It's a different mentality.
Yeah. So what's that?
It's a different mentality, and like you said, everything you'd be saying is reflected on Twitter. These guys like to talk. They talk about I want to fight this dude, and then they go back and forth on Twitter, and then 2 days later, they announce a fight against a guy that nobody wants to see him fight. So that means that they've been negotiating that way beforehand. So it was all just the whole back and forth was just a way to stay relevant, and it's getting annoying because like you said, it's getting annoying because like you said, people are starting to read the play, and it's nobody likes to be manipulated, and so it's only garnering more critique from the fans. You want to say something else, Mike? Because we gotta go.
Yeah. Real quick. The thing is, I will say, like, this isn't a racial thing because, like, people, like, rag on, black fans because of how they treat Tank. The Mexicans do the same with Canelo, right? This isn't racial. I think the reason why this keeps happening is dumbass fans feed into it. Like, Canelo's fans, let him get away with this shit. Tank's fans, let him get away with this shit. Like, they are being punked. I don't understand. Like you asked. Basically, what they're saying is we're cool watching shitty fights. We don't want to watch good fights. As long as Tank is happy, we're happy. It's just a very weird situation. So ultimately, it comes down to the fan bases. Like they're the ones that are causing the situation.
Well, I mean, I agree to a certain extent, except about Tank Davis, because Canelo fans are buying the fights. Tank Davis fans aren't. They don't even fight. They don't even pay to watch the fights that they're interested in. So that's a bit of that's the only caveat in your theory. But other than that, it's up to the fans. We're the ones that lead and demand. But so many fans are taught. So many fans are taught that if you complain or if you say something, then you're crying and blah blah. And like, call it whatever you want. I'm gonna still complain about bad fights, and I'm gonna make sure I speak enough so that I get the fights that I want. That's it, man. But anyway, listen, good call.
Yeah, and one last thing. The most annoying thing is the pocket watching, right? Like when you say, why don't you fight XYZ? And the fans are like, well, how much did he make? My fighter made that. Like, guys, you're not that's not your money. What are you doing? Like this, like, anyway, that's the most annoying part of boxing for me. But thanks for taking the call, man.
Thank you for calling in, and call back next time. Take it easy out there.
Yep.
You know what annoys me? When people don't hit the like. That's what annoys me. And right now I see we're at 95 likes. 5 more people hit the like. We're at 100, and that's it. I'll be happy with that for the moment. So make sure to hit that like, fellas. Hit that like. 5 more people hit that like. Let's go to another phone call. Let's go to. Is this even working now? What the? Okay, 630. You're on the air. 630. What's on your mind?
Hey, how you doing? Really like your show, guys. This whole thing is just, there's something that I always say, and it really reminds me that boxing needs to become a league. These promoters are what's screwing it up. if you think about it, if you put it in other sports terms, you get like the Chiefs versus the Jaguars, and it's a pay-per-view, and it's just, that's what happens when you get a Tank versus a crappy guy or any other level like that. And then the other thing is this is always stuck in my mind. It was Heyman or that creepy dude that always sits behind the boxers at the end of the fight from PBC, and he said, "We don't care about belt counts, we care about bank accounts." And that's a real problem with this sport. And it causes these fights, the good fights, to be avoided. And I was just getting, what's your thoughts on some of that?
Well, I mean, in terms of the league, that's something that people have talked about in other incarnations or in other formats. Some people say that the government needs to get involved. Some people say that there needs to be, like you said, a league. There were hopes that maybe Dana White would get into boxing and sort of solidify it. The PBC certainly tried to in 2015. Didn't work out for them. And now we've got a different incarnation with the Sheik trying to get all these rival promoters together. And it seems to be working, but it comes at the cost of a lot of money. A lot of money. So in terms of a league, in theory, yes, that could solve a lot of things. But the problem is boxing has always been a divided sport. Too many independent promoters, independent people making their own fights. And that's where the trouble's always been. The only reason we've been getting the big fights these last 2 years is because of the Saudi money. Beterbiev Bivol is a fight that could not have been possible. Bob Arum said it himself. It's like, look, you got two Russians that don't even really sell in Russia. Here in North America, nobody knows about them. And they want to get paid big bucks to fight each other. So how do we make this happen? Well, you need somebody who's willing to lose money like the Sheik. So that's really the only way it would work. Then, of course, you had the WBSS, the tournament there with Inoue. And then you had the Cruiserweight version. Yeah, apparently that lost a lot of money, and some people claim that it was a money laundering operation. Don't get me wrong. I mean, don't take me my word for it. But so it's in other words, money. That's what it comes down to. It takes a lot of money to make these type of things happen.
And I agree, it does take money. But you're talking about people that don't make names, that don't have big names. How are they supposed to make names for themselves if they're never seen? Because the good fighters, the ones with the face of boxing, won't fight them because they know how good they are. That's the problem.
Well, that's been another problem.
Anyways.
No, you're right.
I just wanted to get that out there.
It's been a problem for decades in boxing, where the champion, there's always one guy that maybe if he doesn't have to fight him, he won't fight him. But at this point, you have a guy like Tank Davis, who's supposed to be the face of boxing, and he's never fought a pound for pounder. He's never fought the top guy in his division. So that's an anomaly right there, because I don't think I've ever seen the face of boxing not fight anybody or worthy of a pound-for-pound status or number one status in the division. So that's where it gets weird, man. But anyway, listen, man, thank you for your call, and call back next time. Take it easy out there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Don't forget to hit that like, fellas. Hit that like. Where are we at with the likes? We're at 105. Fantastic. Mr. BDA is happy. And a happy Mr. BDA is a generous BDA. So let's go to another phone call. Let's go to 323. 323, you're on the air. 323, what's on your mind?
What's going on, you fuckers? Listen, I agree with some of the callers that have called in
again.
About
recognize. How do I hang up on people?
Regulating.
Let's just say hang up.
I think there's
like a little button.
But go ahead, on Madrasas. What's up?
Well, about regulating the sport. That's a really, I've heard that before. That would take a lot of doing. It would take some legislation, and then when you get down to it, it would have to go from like state to state. That's going to that means that federal government will have to really oversee everything, and the least amount of federal government interference with anything is better, in my opinion. But but the sport needs something, man. Also, we need to start having a broader conversation about something very important, and that's the boxing pundits that have a large following and that have a name. And these people aren't just guys that are like you guys. You guys are doing the right thing. You guys are discussing it. You guys are talking about it. You're dissecting it, and you're going into the minutia of and the nuance of it. And it seems like this concept is lost on people like Chris Algieri and people like the Porter podcast and all that stuff. You would expect better, but these people continue to push this narrative that a guy that hasn't fought a world champion, and I'm not talking about Happy Meal belts. I'm talking about a legitimate world champion since January 17th of 2017. Pedraza was the last legitimate champion that Tank ever fought, and the only one he's ever fought.
That's right.
For some reason, this guy ends up weaseling his way in people's pound-for-pound list. This guy ends up weaseling his way in every fucking conversation that these quote-unquote boxing pundits have. These are the conversations we need to start having because, there's like people complain about fake information or malinformation or whatever horse shit. And why are these guys pushing this narrative? What do they have to gain from it? That Chris Algieri's are talking and at the same time they're praising people like Bivol, which is great because Bivol is the guy, and they're talking about how and they're getting into the nuance of his career, like, oh, this guy barely loses any rounds, and I've seen him talk about that, but they won't go into the nuance of the fact that this motherfucker hasn't fought a legitimate champion since like 7 or 8 years ago. Are you telling me that they're just picking and choosing who to have a clear discussion about?
Wait, just clarify something for me. Just
discussion of the details out of somebody else.
Just clarify something for me. Why did Chris Algieri
drives me crazy about the whole fucking thing?
All right, take a breather. What did Chris Algieri say though about Tank Davis? That's
I'm not saying like him in particular, but I've seen him on his show. He has a show with somebody else. It's not on the Pro Box. And they're talking about like, well, yeah, he's the best in this division. And every time there's a fight, case in point, the Frank Martin fight, that knockout, just like he seemed to like really wear Frank Martin down, and they're acting like Frank Martin was this beast, this mountain to climb that Tank Davis had to break him down, and then they're talking about his legitimacy in the pound for pound rankings. What are you guys taught? What fucking drugs are you guys on? The other one that pissed me off was like, okay, Tin Tszyu. He got his ass kicked pretty bad. And a lot of it is just because of the mismanagement of the career. And the guy's, physically, mentally traumatized from that fucking cut. And that's on him. But you're going to tell me that it's going to take him years to come back when it took Fundora 8 months to get a world title shot? We all know that fight with Fundora in Tin Tszyu was a fluke. Like, if it wasn't for that cut, he was on his way to stopping him. But Fundora got knocked Spark out, and it didn't take him a year to get a fucking world title shot. It didn't take him any time at all. He's back. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, if you're going to catch these nuances, you know what I'm saying? How do you ignore the nuances about a fighter like Tank Davis or other fighters like him? These are the conversations we need to hold these guys accountable, because it's not just Chris Algieri, you guys. It's Dan Rafael. There's Dan Rafael's a PBC shill, sure. There's other guys like this that go into great detail about certain fighters, and yet they ignore the details about the obvious.
I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Here's my thing though. I am not a media watch guy. Especially I don't watch guys like, you heard those opinions from certain guys that you mentioned, right? That you disliked. What I do is I just don't listen to them. Now, every once in a while, something will filter my way and I'll go, all right, that's ridiculous, or I disagree with that, and I'll talk about it. But you are right though. We it's not really my responsibility, and I don't know, maybe it's not yours either to be calling these guys out for their opinion, even if it's so misguided. But you're right, though. I think they do. I guess you could make the argument that they're sort of legitimizing these guys that don't deserve that legitimacy. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm just tired at this point of the day. I don't really know what to tell you about that. But it's true, though. These guys that
yeah. But BDI. I listen to some of these feeds because they come on my YouTube feed,
right?
And I listen to them especially after big fights. So if there's a big fight or there's a big fight coming up, it'll always come up a little bit more. So I'll and my YouTube feed just goes on autoplay, so it plays the next video. And then I end up hearing this shit, and I'm like, what are these guys talking about? Like, what planet are these fucking dudes on that this guy's, they consider Tank Davis a better fighter than better be for, like, just in the rankings. Like, it's just, it's insane to me. It's just fucking insane to me.
I'm right there with you.
Anyway,
And you know what?
That's it. It's just one of those things that every now and then I have to air out. And I think we've talked about this before. Like, I know we've talked about it with Jimmy before, and he thinks, he's like, oh, it's egregious, and we've talked about it with Jimmy, definitely. But it's just one of those things we have to always bring up, because there are a lot of people out there that don't know who you are and don't know don't listen to shows like yours, that are listening to these fucking idiots.
Well, I mean, listen, it's freedom of speech. People can listen to whomever they want. I'm not going to get in the middle of that right now. I do agree with one of the callers, though. He mentioned that the fans do legitimize this too. Like, Canelo fans will legitimize his fucking run to more pay-per-view buys with no goal. Like, the guy's got no goal. He's got no goals other than just to make money now, and that's it. And if you want to support that, fucking go ahead. But you're also supporting some bullshit too. There you go.
Like, that career is that career is going nowhere. The only difference between him and Tank Davis is at least he's accomplished a lot of things.
That's right.
And he's already he's already almost done with his career. He just wants to make as much money as he can before he leaves, and that's fine. You're getting punched in the face. You're taking brain trauma. Go ahead. But you've had to build something to get to that point, and then I don't care. At least give up the belts or whatever, and do whatever fucking circus show you want to do. But we can't continue to hold these guys in the spotlight and give them all this praise for doing dog shit.
There you right.
Anyway,
there you go.
I'll talk to you guys later. You guys have a good one.
You too.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, take it easy, man. Thank you for your call. I want to remind people, don't forget to hit the like. And before we continue on here, we still have one more subject, or I think two, to get to. Shout out to Lalo Soto Gaming for his contribution with the Super Chat. He says, BDA, this caller is I don't know if we can say that word here on YouTube anymore, but he's talking about the first caller, I believe. He says, this caller is the idiot who just asks questions and tries to play it off as an argument. Yeah, he just asks questions, never really makes a point. I mean, if you have questions, Google them. They've got a fantastic thing called now ChatGTP. You can just ask it whatever you want. Don't come in at me asking me for questions and try to make a statement out of that. That's insane. You're insane. Shout out to Chet Collins for his contribution to the Super Chat. He says, how is Teo a power puncher? Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't his last KO Comey, the only top fighter he's KO'd? So stop the puncher analogy. Well, I mean, listen, when you're fighting top guys, the punch rate, KO rate will go down. But he still has enough pop on his chest to make guys respect him. So I do think he's a power puncher. I mean, look at how Ortiz was running around the ring, not wanting to engage with him. So I do think he's a power puncher. Maybe the deficiency might be his delivery system. He doesn't set up his punches properly anymore, but he still, believe me, he catches a guy properly, he causes a little hurt. Shout out to Rafael Garza, whose contribution to the Super Chat. He says, this caller knows the business side of boxing. I think he was referring to Jerry back when Jerry called in. Shout out to Frankie Sainz for his contribution with the Super Chat. Says, tuck me into bed, Mr. BDA, nice and cozy. You know what? I'm too tired to even address this one. But all I'll say is no means no. Shout out to Rob Strong Company for his contribution with the Super Chat. He says, we need to get JCC on snack to clean up today's 135. Is he referring to Julio Chavez? Yeah, get Julio Chavez on the snack, man. Why not? And shout out to Rap Strong Company again, who says, good caller. And I believe he was referencing or referring to Don Madrazos. I see we got Recognized jumping in here and Sobers. Before we get to more phone calls, I want to touch on the Teofimo Lopez situation. For those of you that are unaware, a couple of weeks ago, he said something disparaging, or something that some people found disparaging about Tank Davis and Crawford, referring to them as whichever monkey wants the banana, talking about some sort of price, I guess, can come get it. So subsequently, people started saying that those were racially charged comments. He claimed, well, no, they call themselves gorillas, so I'm just calling them monkeys, which doesn't really make sense because gorillas aren't monkeys, they're apes. Anyway, he said it again. He said something about Crawford. What did he say? He said, well, anyway, I think he called him
a monkey. Yeah. He said, "You're a monkey to me. What's up? Take it how you want it."
There you go. Shout out to Sobers. And then he had this explanation. He says, this is the fight game. So a lot of people don't quite understand that term, monkey, and how things work. And me, I sat back and thought about it for 48 hours before I went on an interview and expressed what I expressed. I'm trying everything to possibly make a fight with the best, fighting the best. We're doing it. We're pushing at it, and nothing is happening. Whoa, wait a minute. We're doing it. We're pushing it, and nothing is happening. What's he talking about there, though? Sounds like some of the problems I've had in the past. No traction, no nothing. Again, sounds like my type of problem. He says, but if I hit it, it almost seems illegal. Okay, wait a minute. What's he talking about? If I hit it, it almost seems illegal. Well, you gotta check the ID first, or Teofimo. Anyway, he says, what I mentioned and what I said sounds racial, but the slur was illegal. It was a legal blow to the belt. What's he talking about? That's what it was, a legal blow to the belt. Anyway, he's still saying that there wasn't anything racial or racist. The point is, people are turning on him. And then there's this hoopla with Top Rank where he's trying to get out of his contract again. More drama with Top Rank. Guys, what do you think is going on with Teofimo Lopez here?
You want to jump in, Regina? I'll go.
Who wants to hit it? Who wants to hit it wrong?
So yeah, let me hit the penetration at this topic. I mean,
what's going on, man?
So yeah, Teofimo, bro, I don't know, dude. He's kind of like a head case. You know, he tries to go for. I think he's trying to spark like a racial kind of thing between him and Crawford to get everybody into it, and I mean that sells, dude. You know what I mean? That's been a hot topic for like the last about 10 years, damn near, in this country. So people to be like, oh, why is he going there? And nobody's going these days. You know, just like the last decade, it's been such a hot topic, and it's only been getting worse. The tensions has always been getting worse. So why not capitalize on it, right? Ryan Garcia kind of went that way somewhat. And I mean, I don't know if that did him good or bad, but it got him a lot of attention, right? And that's what these guys are after. So, you know what I mean? And I've seen the reactions that people have had to Teofimo, and it's been visceral, BDA. They want this dude in jail. I've been hearing people saying they want this dude not to allowed to box. What? You know what I'm saying? Like, what? He shouldn't be allowed to make money. You know what I'm saying? Talking like that. So it's getting some visceral reactions.
Let me get this straight.
So I think that's what he's looking for.
Let me get this straight. Terence Crawford, forget about when he said about Jose Benavidez, like, I'm going to beat the burritos out of him. Benavidez pushed him in the weigh-in. He tried to take a swing at Benavidez. He shouldn't be banned for any of that. But this dude, Teofimo Lopez, should be banned for using a word? And I don't think these people understand that the standards that they're trying to set could be turned on them real quick too, as well. Just, get banned from their job or whatever for saying something. I mean, that I don't understand that. But I will say with Teofimo Lopez, he was on an interview. I think I saw it when he was trying to explain what he said about monkey thing, and he goes, "Well, we need to get scientific about it." I go, "Scientific?" And then he just gave his version. Well, there's nothing scientific about giving your version. I don't understand what he was talking about. Recognize if you want to jump in, man.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you, man.
Yeah, why not shut him up? Why not get in the ring and shut him up?
That's what some people have been asking. They're saying, "Hey, Crawford, if you..." Well, here's the other thing, though. The sort of... I'm scratching my head at this. Some people are saying, man, Crawford... Because people were asking that. It's like, hey, why doesn't Crawford shut him up? Why doesn't Crawford fight him? And some people were saying, well, because Crawford, you don't suffer fools lightly, and Crawford is a Teofimo Lopez is cloud chasing him. He needs something from Crawford because Crawford's a star now, and I don't think Crawford should give him a fight because of the things he said. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. I must have missed this. Well, since when is Crawford a star? I mean, the last event he fought in was a mega event. They had a stacked card. Apparently, they couldn't sell out the venue, and the pay-per-view buys were horrendous, according to rumors. So I'm still waiting for this evidence that Terence Crawford is this big star. Teofimo Lopez evidently wants him because I think it's a big challenge, and he thinks he could make a big event out of it. But again, to think that Crawford is this big star that Teofimo Lopez needs, I don't see it, man. I mean, and then on top of that, Eric Gomez was on, president of Golden Boy was on the last 3 knockdown rule. He says Crawford is still waiting around, mulling it over, seeing what he wants to do. He's still undecided. which goes back to what the Sheik said about Crawford probably not wanting to fight any of the other young 154-pounders. So I don't know why Teofimo Lopez continues to call this dude out, knowing that he doesn't even want to fight people at his own weight class. Why would he fight a 140-pounder? I don't get it.
Right. And where I mean, look, where would that fight be at? Especially that now Crawford is already at 154 pounds.
Exactly. But again, the egregious point here is, or the main point of contention is, was that Jimmy?
Oh, that wasn't me. I'm sorry. That wasn't me.
He could fight Tank.
Well, but
Why don't
he could.
Tank shut him up?
But Tank doesn't want that fight either. Apparently, he's concentrated on Lamont Roach.
I thought Tank would beat all the legends of the past.
I mean, listen. Well, you know what it is though. It's he would easily beat the Durants of the world. So a guy like Teofimo Lopez, that's a step down, man. You know, I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's a step down. It's disappointing. But I will say,
I hate that he feels that way, but it'd be nice. It would be nice for the pound for pound great fighter, the face of boxing, to shut this guy up. I'm just saying. You know?
I think you're asking too much of Tank Davis. But I will say this, going back to the Teofimo Lopez thing. Okay, so he's referenced monkeys twice now, or at least twice that I know of. But then the counter argument on Twitter is, well, listen, it's boxing. People don't mind when people get pushed, people get shoved, people get punched at press conferences, people insult each other's moms and all that. Why is this all of a sudden this sacrosanct thing where, you can't call a guy an animal because it's racially charged? I mean, so that's a reason not to give a guy a fight. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I think not giving someone a fight. Well, first off, it's just like you said, it's clout chasing. That fight's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, listen, let's be honest about Teofimo Lopez. That fucking guy just drives me crazy. First fucking 5 rounds, 6 rounds of the Loma fight, right? He didn't. For whatever reason, obviously his shoulder trying to save it for the later rounds, and he thought he could dance around and not get hit enough. Ridiculous. Regardless. After that, once he decided to throw on the offense, he couldn't stop hitting Lopez. I mean, it was decisively he was losing those rounds to Loma. Let's just look at his career since then. Yes, he beat up Prograis. I mean, remember our predictions? I was like, yeah, this fight's not even going to be. Oh no, that was Haney. That's right, it was Haney because it wasn't even going to be close because Prograis got no feet. But Lopez, he struggled with anybody with any movement whatsoever. He can't cut the ring off. I mean, this kid's a superstar of his own making in his own head. What has he actually done? Who's he actually beaten? Josh Taylor. I mean, that fucking win hasn't aged well. Was it Josh Taylor he beat, right?
Yeah, in 2023.
Yeah, Josh Taylor. I mean, that kid's career just soured. But yeah, no, I mean, I look at the kid, I'm like, what have you done? You lost. You fucking lost to the fucking man down under. The Vegemite sandwich eating motherfucker beat you, dude. Are you kidding me? I mean, that dude's terrible. And he beat you. I mean, and then, like I said, the kid who ran around, the kid from Massachusetts, moved too much, but had him swinging at ghosts. Outside of that, I mean, he's living off that Loma victory, which was, I mean, of course, they didn't rematch him, but it is what it is. I mean, that's all this kid has lived off of. He hasn't done anything spectacular since. Was his this great power. You know what I mean? That was his big thing, too. Remember coming up as a prospect? Explosive power puncher.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I anybody who calls out people that you almost know there's no chance of them fighting, I can't stand that shit. When he needs something like he badmouths Bob Arum, right? Again, he's going back that route. He's going after Terrence Crawford, but it gets people talking about him. And that's all this is. It's just promotion through name association. That's all this is.
Well, there was a guy.
What's on the horizon for him? Who's he going to fight?
Jerry called in earlier. He made a good point. He says a lot of these guys like Teofimo Lopez. They like to call themselves their own boss. And, well, I don't know if Teofimo Lopez has actually called himself his own boss, but I reckon he fancies himself that he wants to be his own boss. That's why he's trying to distance himself from Bob Arum and all that. But I'm thinking, look, if Top Rank can't make you a star, what really makes him think that he's going to be able to do it? Because let's face the fact, he's not a businessman. You've heard him talk too. I mean, he doesn't sound like he's well versed in any of that type of stuff. And so what's the end game for Teofimo Lopez? Distance himself, disassociate himself, cut himself off from Top Rank, and then what? He's from New York. He can't sell squat over there. He can't sell peanuts. I really don't see what he thinks he can improve on business-wise without Top Rank. I mean, why? I mean, okay, I understand he said something about how ESPN favors the Afro-Anglos more than they do with other fighters, which is there's a certain degree of truth to that. But they did try to push Teofimo Lopez as a star. They gave him the Lomachenko fight. They did give him a good amount of publicity, and he's the one that kickstarted the whole sabotage when he tried to get away from Top Rank and to fight on Triller for more money, which ended up backfiring. So
and how did that work out?
He's his own worst enemy, and I think he's relatively entertaining. I agree with your point on what Chet Collins said too earlier, that he's not the big power puncher that they made him out to be. Although I do still think his problem is more or less his delivery system. He just doesn't really know how to set up things anymore at this level, especially against guys who don't give him an opening. He can create the opening. And so, yeah, that's the problem there with Teofimo Lopez. But, Jimmy, before we continue on here, man, because I see we got two people. Well, actually, let me get to a caller, and then I want to bring up the what we were talking about in the beginning of the show, which was these rumors coming out about Tank Davis and Lamont Roach. But let me just get to a phone call real quick, and then we'll continue on here with the panel. Okay. 713, you're on the air. 713, what's on your mind?
So this is Greg Terrible.
Oh, what's up, Greg?
The topic, hello. Thanks for having me on the show. The topic of the Tank and the Trouble fight. Well, I'm here in Houston, right? I'm a Houston native, reside. I spent some time outside state, but anyway, back to this deal is that it's been a couple of years since I've been to a local spot, and the Afro-Anglos, they even know that Tank is not trying. They know. Oh, he's not trying to fight. It's other than Ryan, right? But he's not trying to fight top opposition. Given how things are, a lot of Anglos, Afros, they're elite. They're sticking together. They stick together, right? But they already know Tank is not trying to fight anybody. And then, well, I'm not talking bad against Lamont Roach, right? But he's just same plan, smarter guy. Moving up a couple of pounds to face Tank, but that's been the issue that Tank doesn't want to, somehow, some way, he's avoiding big fights, the top guys. But
well, Greg, let me ask you this.
Probably.
Let me ask you this though. Let me ask you this. Can I ask you this? Because we were talking about earlier that one of the theories, and that's a Dan Rayfield theory, that this Lamont Roach Tank Davis fight might be postponed is because they're having venue issues. And we were trying to find out whether maybe they were in competition with something else, and that's why they decided to postpone it. But what type of town is Houston? Are there weekly events there, that big concerts or big sporting events? Like, what's the scene like over there?
I'm not sure about that weekend, but the only we have a football team, NFL, and NBA team. They're just going to launch the season. The Astros are eliminated. That was a big revenue. People think we stole the World Series, but anyway, I'm not going to get into that conversation. Mm-hmm. But it's a fairly we have a silver medalist, Rocky Juarez. Boxing is, I would say, is mid out here. Jay Prince is from here. George Foreman is from over here too. I mean, I think that's what Tank was trying. I don't know. He's a Calvin Ford a fighter, but I think Tank was trying to be in Houston, or he was training in Houston. Same thing with Shakur. But I don't think it's the city or the venue. I think it's something else. Because like Ryan was fighting over here at the Toyota Center. Even the UFC comes out here. I don't go to though, but I don't see the city being a problem. I think it's something else.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. everybody, all the fans know that Tank is not. Then they brought up. This was 3 years ago. I was this place called Bombshells. Even then, they were saying, "Man, this dude he ain't trying to fight the top guys."
Mm-hmm.
There's another thing about Tank. I'm not trying to.
I got you.
How this is gonna come out. So, okay, so we had the Barrera Morales rivalry. They weren't like big. I would say Canelo's a bigger name than they are, but I mean, at first it started with the rivalry. They were cracking 300 up to 300 pay-per-view. So I believe, right? But we had two guys, and then Marquez was another one. It started with Prince Nassim, and then Juan Manuel Marquez was towards the end. But what I'm trying to say is that they had a couple of guys already. They know if they put this fight on, it's going to make money. They were going to, like, secure somewhat of a payday from everybody involved, the networks, the fighters, the venues. But Tank doesn't have that. The only thing it might be is Danny, right? Devin Haney. Sorry, I mispronounced the name.
Right.
But he's not trying to fight anybody. Ryan's suspended. He might not even fight 140. That just leaves Prograis, but there's no other guy with the name out there for Tank either. Or, Tank might not even try to fight him either.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen.
But that's my take. That's my take on it.
All right, good to hear from you, Greg.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you, man. Thank you for your call. Bye. You too. Take it easy, other man. All right, we got to move on here, not real quickly, but we got other people on the panel. We got to end the show soon. 469, you're in the air. 469, what's on your mind?
All right, I'm back. I just cooked y'all with the Ryan, but I'm going to keep it civil. All right. Teofimo don't want a Tank fight. Teofimo can't even fight right now. The only reason why he's being racist is he's trying to get you guys as fans. Teofimo can't fight anybody. So the racism makes no sense. Plus, nobody even cares about his racism. If you look at the views, he's not even getting 100,000 views with that monkey shit. Nobody cares. He's not going to get a fight. You're not going to get a payday for being racist. He can barely sell out the Hulu Theater. That's where he's going to stay at.
Yeah, but if he really wanted to go all out controversial, I think he would have gone farther than what he said.
Yeah, he should have did what Ryan did. He should have did what Ryan did. I like what Ryan did. Ryan went hard. That shit was funny. But what Teo did was lame.
Can I ask the caller
Nobody cares about him.
You said he's trying to get us as fans.
Jimmy, don't try. Jimmy, this guy, just let him talk, because otherwise he starts asking questions and going back and forth.
Teo.
Go ahead and say what.
Teo
I got you. What else?
Teo can't even fight. He's suing his.
Well, I mean, what? He
can't fight. He's suing his promoter. No matter who he calls out, he can't get a fight. He can't fight. So saying Crawford and Tank fight me means nothing. He's just trying to get racist fans like you guys to go to his next fight whenever it is. That's all he's doing.
Listen, as racist as I am, I don't even really like Teofimo Lopez either. So why would I pay to go watch it? So why would I go? So why would I? Well, why would I get to? He can be as racist as he wants. He's still not going to get me. You understand what I'm
trying. It's better to try than not to try.
But I mean, he could have gone harder. He could have gone harder. That's what I'm saying. Even you said that you liked it when Ryan Garcia said about everything he said. You said you liked it.
He don't know how to be a star.
You even said you even sounds like he got you hard.
That's why he could.
But it even
that's
sounds
why he barely sells out the Hulu Theater.
But you know what? It even sounds like what you're saying is that you like what Ryan Garcia said, because maybe I don't know, you're a self-hating person or something. I don't know. But see, that type of stuff. That's what Teofimo Lopez could have done something like that. He's not. So I don't quite agree with your whole thing about how he's racist and how he's trying to get us. If he really wanted to get us, he would
I didn't say he racist.
Hold on, excuse me. If he wanted to get us,
I didn't say he was racist.
If he wanted to get us, I don't really care what you said. But what I'm saying is, if he really wanted to get us, he would have gone farther, and he didn't. So I mean, that's his problem right there. Anything else you want to say, Caller?
He's not smart. He's not a star. If he can't even sell out the Hulu Theater. What makes you think he's gonna be able to gather fans the correct way?
I mean, but that's what I'm saying. But my thing is, though, all these guys need each other. Tank Davis, he's having problems with the venue over there.
I mean, apparently not. Apparently Tank don't. Tank could sell more than all of them fighting bums off the street.
No, he's not. He's not, man. He's not. And
Mr. BDA, I just wanted to say to you real quick, too, right? The word racist now to me The word racist to me means as much as like if somebody says the. See, black people have played that fucking card so hard. White people, I just want to let you know now when black people call white people racist, you know what we do? We belly laugh. I don't care. I don't care that you think I'm racist or white people are racist. Yeah. Save your bullshit. Save your fucking fake oppression and your white supremacy bullshit and shove it up your ass. Nobody cares at all anymore. That word is played out. It means nothing. You might as well call us fucking... call us something else, because you know what racism means? That's what I think when I hear racism. Oh, you're a racist, oh, really? Oh, he's down. Save your oppression. I don't care about your oppression. I don't care about your fucking history. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit.
Yeah,
seriously, you racists.
yeah, that's the thing, caller. I have to agree with Jimmy there. I mean, people don't even really buy it anymore. So that's what I'm saying. He probably like the caller said, he's not. Teofimo Lopez isn't even really that smart. So maybe that's what he was going for. But again, we don't know because we can't get inside his head. But yeah, but at the end of the day, nobody really cares about this racism thing. It's all played out.
But I got one more thing. Y'all been on this bitch trying to lie about Lomachenko ducking. His own manager said it's not about the money. Lomachenko just don't want to fight. It don't have nothing to do with money. Lomachenko backed out because he don't want to fight. His own manager said it.
What about the 7 years of fucking Gervonta Davis running? Wouldn't even say Lomachenko's name for 7 years. And it was about the money. 3 months went by, contract fucking bullshit. And he kept jumping. Listen, you can say what you want to. There's 5 or 6 years of receipts of fucking him ducking Loma.
You melting down.
Ducked him, dude. Straight ducked him for 6 years. So you want to jump on, Loma's ducking him now? Play with it. I'll go with it. Okay, yeah, Loma doesn't want to fight Davis now after getting robbed by Haney. Okay.
So, all right, you done?
And what, you think you got to win? And what about 6 years if Davis what about 6 years if Davis fucking even on radio stations saying, no, I never asked to fight Loma? Floyd for fucking 6 years, no, he's not ready. He's not, no, we don't want nothing. Maybe next year. Maybe next year.
Can I respond? Okay,
6 years he ducked him.
If anybody's on their phone, right now, go on YouTube, type in Tank Davis calls out Lomachenko. He did it in 2019 on TMZ. Now, if anybody can find Lomachenko telling Tank to fight in the last 6 years, I'll cash up you $100.
Straight lie. He's on a fucking dude. He's on a radio show in 2022. They asked him, "Come on, man. Have you ever gone in there and said, man, I want to fight those guys?" He scratched his face and goes, "No, I've never really asked about fighting any of them." So it's bullshit, dude.
Anybody who's on their phone, if anybody who's on their phone right now,
so many things.
Type in Tank Davis,
Lomachenko in 2020 said Tank's the toughest guy on Twitter. Everybody in the business and the industry who knows what's going on knows Tank Davis ducked Lomachenko for a half a decade. The dude's fought nobody.
Are you done?
Nobody.
And can I just say one last thing? Can I just say one last thing about this? I mean,
yes,
you got Tank. One last thing, because it's boring. Gervonta Davis calls out Lomachenko. Okay, that's what it says. He calls him out. He says it's time. Did he send him a contract? I mean, that's all that matters. I mean, I can call out Lomachenko. I can call out Muhammad Ali. I can call out Bruce Lee. What does that mean, really? And then, I mean, we had Tank Davis as his promoter at the time. Floyd Mayweather say,
"I want Roy Jones Jr."
Floyd Mayweather's, who's Tank's promoter, said, "We want to keep things in-house." So even if we concede that Lomachenko is the one who didn't want this fight, guess what, man? This guy yanked his chain for 6-7 years, and now it's payback time. That's all it is. And please refrain.
Even that, if he retires, I don't think that's a duck. He probably will just retire. So you can't call a guy retiring like Ward retired when the beats were on his neck. You know, Tyson Fury retired. Floyd Mayweather retired. You could have said Mayweather ducked the De La Hoya rematch. So, but if a guy retires, he retires.
Yeah. Anyway, this whole conversation, Gervonta Tank Davis has plenty of other opponents that he could be fighting. I don't know why people keep obsessing.
He doesn't want to fight these guys because he doesn't want to face the chance that he might lose.
Hold on a second. Hey, caller, you've been talking nonstop, and I want to just say that Tank Davis has plenty of other guys. Tank Davis has plenty of other guys that he can fight. He has plenty of other guys that he can fight. He has plenty of other guys that he can fight. He's chosen not to in the past 7 years. 7 years. 7 years. He's chosen not to fight him. So I don't think Lomachenko's a problem. I think Jimmy, let me speak, please. I don't think Lomachenko's a problem.
No, that wasn't me.
Excuse me. I don't think Lomachenko's a problem. I think Tank Davis is a problem because 7 years he's never fought anybody of note. Never fought the champ in his division. Never fought a pound for pounder. Caller, you gotta stop the obsession over Lomachenko and start. Caller, you gotta stop the obsession over Lomachenko and start putting your foot on the back of Tank Davis's neck because we want to see him fight the best, and he's not doing it. You know what? He should go racial too because guys like you, that's the only thing you like. You need to pressure him too, man. It's not just all us. You need to pressure him. So I want to give you a shout out to calling in. We gotta move on because we're almost at the end of the show, and we gotta get back to the Tank Davis fight. So thank you for calling in, man. Take it easy out there.
Thanks for calling in, buddy. We appreciate your call. Thank you. Bye.
Caller of the night.
Where were these callers before? That's the thing. I mean,
caller of the night, I should say. But let me,
where were these guys before? That's crazy. I don't know. Where were these guys before when Loma was active? Why weren't they calling and saying, "Hey, man, get on the phone and get Loma in here"? You know, Tank had a chance to become undisputed. He could have fought Cambozo. Why didn't he do that?
Because why would he do that? Why would he risk losing? Even I know Camboza's not a top notch fighter, but he throws way more punches than Little Tank.
Well, listen. Somebody said let him respond. We did let him respond. He said check out TMZ. He called out. Tank Davis said it's time for Lomachenko, but nothing ever happened. So what does that mean? Was there a contract sent?
And I could seriously have him go to the Haymanites page. He has all of it. All of it. Every fucking quote when Floyd.
Yeah, listen. Sorry. Listen.
It wasn't me, Mr. BD.
I know.
You thought I cut you off. It wasn't me. I didn't say
but we're running out of time, and I don't really like rehashing the past. We've covered that ad nauseum. The whole thing you're talking about, Jimmy, about the about all the times that he avoided Lomachenko. I wanted to get to the present because you weren't here in the beginning of the show. Okay, so here's the rumor.
About that, I can tell you why that fight's not happening, or there's talk of delaying it. Listen, when he fought Garcia, right? All the stars come out. Remember it? All the stars. There was literally stars. Tank's name amongst the black community was starting to gain popularity. It really was, and it's gone. The caller before this guy was right when he said, even a lot of black Americans, you go on Twitter, have had it. You know how you can tell? Now when Tank tweets something, you see a lot of black accounts saying, come on, dude, when are you going to fight somebody? Enough's enough. So here's what's happening. They put it out. Steven Espino's in charge of this whole thing. Him and Tom from TBG or whatever the name of his promotion is. And it is nothing. Nobody's calling in. Nobody's asking about reserving seats. There's no fucking hype around that fight. And they know it. They know not only won't this thing sell, it probably won't even sell 50,000 fucking pay-per-views. Whoa. Let's just be honest. All right. And I would honestly, bet anybody $1,000 it wouldn't even come close to 100,000 pay-per-views. I'm thinking probably 50,000 just because of some hardcore boxing fans just desperate for boxing. The place that have to paper it wouldn't sell probably, and that's another thing. Sellouts. Remember all these sellouts and they'd paper half the place? But listen, there's nobody wants to see that Roach fight. Nobody. No celebrity's going to show up. It would be a dog, and they know it. Now they're trying to get their way out of it. I haven't heard exactly. Now, what are they saying, Mr. BDA? What are they saying? It's going to be delayed?
Well, there's two rumors, if I may. I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's two rumors. There's one from Dan Rayfield, so you maybe take it with a grain of salt because maybe he's trying to soften the blow. He claims that there's venue issues. So before we get to the second theory, Jimmy, Tank Davis is supposed to be the face of boxing. When's the last time you remember Canelo postponing a fight or possibly postponing a fight, or AJ as well, because of venue issues? And second of all, what the hell does venue issues mean? I don't get it.
Meaning that the venue they picked is too large and nobody's buying tickets. There's no hype around it. Nobody's trying. They're not going to sell out the lower bowl. It's a dog. So they need to find a place that they can actually put this in that's small enough.
So Dan Rayfield is saying it without really saying it all the way through. Like he's saying venue issues, but he's.
Are you saying like an auditorium?
Yeah, they need like an auditorium. Literally, they need like maybe an 8,000 seat place because nobody cares about that fight. Listen, this kid's they've been playing this game forever, right? Coattailing. They mention Lomachenko and then they fight fucking Cruz. You know, they say something else and they fight the fucking kid who rides the short bus. That's this kid's whole career. I mean, when your best name on your resume is a fucking weight train Jose Pedraza back in 2016 or 2017, you know what I mean? When Lomachenko fought 13 ex or current world champions. You know what I mean? Like he's already punched. He's not even, what has he got, 20 fights? He's already punched his ticket into the Hall of Fame. Tank retired today. The only reason why he'd be at the Hall of Fame was to cut the lawn. Give me a fucking break.
Come on. No, but then there's a second theory, and this is more the BDologian theory, I guess, for lack of a better term. And this comes from Rick Glacier, who says that what he's been hearing is that Tank is demanding a lot more than the PBC is willing to pay, especially for a fight of this low interest or this low caliber fight, which sort of is something that we've been talking about for years now, Jimmy. But why would Tank Davis, who's always talking about people need him, he's a star, blah blah blah, but he's asking for more money to fight Lamont Roach? Like, well, what's that about? I don't get it.
Well, his more money, let's be honest, his only time he's ever made any real money was with Garcia. His guarantee, I believe, was $5 million on that fight. That was the highest. All the other fights in his pay-per-views, his guarantee money was 1.75 or $2 million. That was the highest he ever made guaranteed, and he never made back-end money. The reason being, the pay-per-views, only one pay-per-view of the 6 sold over 200,000. That was with Rodley, and that came out of Espinosa's mouth himself. So he never got backdoor money. So the reason why what's going on with Tank is he wants guaranteed money. He probably wants $2 million guaranteed, and they're telling him, they're like doing the math, and they're like, this thing isn't going to sell. We're going to lose money. And because the PBC has no money, here's the story. They have to get investors. They can't get investors because, right, if you're an investor, you're looking to maybe, you just do a little research. And they go on Twitter. Let's see what people are talking about this fight. And they see everybody's poo-poo in the fight. They can't get nobody to financially back it. So they can't get the money to get. So a guaranteed purse means we're going to cut you a check for $2 million. Before the fight even fucking takes place, so you have it. There's just no money for this fight. You know what I mean? And I think you're true about Lomachenko retiring. I heard the same thing recently. I heard if he does come back, it might be for one more fight, and then that'll be it. And it's 100% true. What happened with it was the negotiations. Lomachenko has a history of, Bob, give me the contract. Boom, he signs it, walks away. And it takes months for the other guy fucking around to sign it. Okay? He would have signed a contract with Davis. Let's just do it. Right? But of course, Davis, the same thing he did with Garcia. How many times with the Garcia fight was, it's close to being signed, and that went on for months because he kept changing the fucking goal, moving the goalpost. Nope, I want this. No rehydration clause. He kept dicking around, and Lomachenko's like, you know what? Fuck you, kid. You ducked me at 26, 30, and fucking 135 for years, for half a decade, and he wasn't going to put up with it.
It's interesting because I mentioned, let's say that this is true, that Tank Davis is asking for more money against a guy like Lamont Roach. Doesn't that sort of serve as another piece of evidence for the fact that he's the one that's been the problem all along? The fact that you have his former promoter, Mayweather, say, we want to keep things in-house. Like I said, Tank Davis never fought a number one guy in his division. He's never fought the top 3 guys in the lightweight division either. He's never fought a pound-for-pounder. He never fought Lomachenko, which is a guy that, like Jimmy said, never had a problem making fights, or very few, if any, compared to all these other guys. And now he's asking for more money. So, and then on top of that, if we go by what Ryan Garcia said, which, again, tread carefully there because you never know when he's lying. But catch weight, rehydration clause, no tune-up. That's all of the stuff he had to surrender to Gervonta Davis. And then on top of that, Gervonta Davis's team still had to use spies in camp to try to get some extra information. So maybe, and that's what I was talking about with Sobers in the beginning of the show, is why are these people at the PBC so afraid of this guy taking a loss? Are they really afraid that that's going to ruin his career? And maybe now people realize why Lomachenko dropped out of those negotiations, because he probably said, I've had enough of this. I'm too old now to be getting into this type of, shenanigans and hijinks in negotiations. We want this, we want that. Then the next day they change it up and they want more. It's insane. It's too much.
And it'd be why I'm not giving that kid any opportunity. I said, listen, when the fight was first talked about, remember, people were like, what the fuck? That's crazy. When I heard that Tank was actually considering fight Lomachenko, I said straight up, oh God, I hope Lomachenko just says fuck off. Fuck off. Now you're going to take the fight. Now you want to fight him when he's 37, when you openly duck this dude for years. And there's a fucking tsunami of fucking, proof that happened. Bob, remember how angry Bob got at a press conference after one of Lomachenko's fight about, don't talk to me about Tank Davis. Talk to his manager, Tank Davis. He wants nothing to do with him. Like Bob said, we sent so many contract offers over there. And the only time Floyd was even remotely interested is when he was fighting with Tank. And he said, okay, I'm going to make the fight. And then Tank and him patched it up, and then the fight was squashed. So, you know what I mean? He can claim that he said, called him out on TMZ, because the kids on the radio, you saw that fucking little video thing Haymanites made, the guy's face when he says, come on, man, have you ever gone in there? Give me Lomachenko, give me Lopez, give me those guys. And he goes, no, I've never asked to fight any of those guys.
Right.
And the guy's face was like, huh? So please.
And you know what, man? I'm curious to hear from, I don't know, anyone else too, because this is a weird turn of events. Frankie, I don't know if you want to go. What's going on with Tank Davis postponing the fight?
Tank Davis. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, to add on what we were talking about earlier, with Jimmy. Am I cutting off? I think I remember Davis saying he had a bigger deal than do y'all remember saying something like that? He bragged about than Floyd had.
For 300
so
million.
He might, right. So he might be asking for, they might be asking him to take a pay cut, because they might not, the projections, and he might not be driving with that, saying, no, I want what I was getting. Just like you paid Canelo, you got to pay me. So it could be a situation like that. That just kind of came to mind while Jimmy was talking.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that's the way I see it. I think Tank Davis, he's been entitled, right? He feels they owe it to him. And it's probably more likely they went to him and said, hey, man, do you mind taking a little less? This ain't doing too well. And he's like, no, which he shouldn't, because they created that monster, right? Give him easy fights, tell him he's the face of boxing. They pretty much made him believe that he's Canelo Alvarez and that he's entitled to it. And if you remember, this actually happened to Canelo Alvarez, I think last year before the Mel fight. He had actually left PBC because they didn't want to pay him for the Mel fight. So they ended up having to make the Munguia fight because they knew it wasn't going to do well. So that's probably that's the most likely thing I could think to happen, is that they're telling him take a pay cut, and he's like, no, I'm not going to. But it's their fault because they pretty much created this monster.
Well, Frank, let me ask you, because I was talking with Sobers at the beginning of the show about this. It seems like they're really trying to protect Tank Davis, and I'm thinking, look, Canelo lost to Mayweather. He did fine. Then he lost to Bivol. He's still the face of boxing. Joshua too. How many times did Joshua lose and still managed to pack the stadiums? Why is the PBC so afraid, do you think, of Tank Davis losing? Why I'm
glad you said that, because that's a good question, and I'm glad you asked that, because every major superstar, when they reach a certain level, if you look at Oscar de la Hoya, Floyd Mayweather, they all left their promoters once they reached a certain level. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
Because they believed in their abilities, and they felt like, okay, like Bud Crawford just left his promoter because he wants all the money. That tells you where Tank Davis is at. He doesn't believe in himself like those guys did, and so he's willing to let handlers protect him. So I think he knows his level, and he knows that it's better to be protected than go venture out on his own and take the risks.
And Mr. BDA, I am that was an excellent point you made right there, brother. But another thing is this, like you said, all those guys took losses, right? But look at their resume prior to those losses. That's the important thing. They've fought all those other tough fights, Triple G 3 times. You know what I mean? With Canelo. I mean, he took on Lara when nobody said he was, even his own people were like, he's, a slippery guy. That could be a tough fight for you. He took on challenges. So if you're a guy who takes on challenges and dare to be great moments, and then you finally walk away with a loss, people aren't going to care. Here's the thing with Tank. Because he has ducked everybody for his entire fucking career, that kid has fought nobody. So if he was to take a loss now, that blows it all up. What that does is it just solidifies what everybody's been saying. You're smoke and mirrors, dude. You've feasted on no-hopers your entire career. You stepped up and you lost. That is hell and gone from fucking with Canelo by taking his loss, which at 23 years old, by the way, when he fought Floyd, he was just a kid. So, how Tank has built his career on marshmallows, if he finally fights somebody who's tough and then loses, then it calls into question his entire career. So that's why they're desperate for him not to take that O now. If he started fighting the best in the divisions, right? Started banging out, takes out Teofimo Lopez, takes out Haney, right? Then he loses a split decision to fucking, say, Shakur. And again, I'm just using names. Then people would say, okay, well, he's fighting these guys. But when you've fought and guys like, look at the guys he's fought. Hector Garcia, right? What has that dude done since losing to Tank? What has any of his guys done? Look, you know what I mean? Rolly, you'll probably never even hear from him again. Pedraza, which was his best win, has lost 4 of his last 5 fights. So he's fought nobody, and the nobodies he has fought will never go on to do anything, which just proves that they were fucking soft touches to begin with. You know what I mean? If you fight a guy and then, you beat him, but then that guy turns around and becomes a world champion again, then that makes that victory look good. But none of his victories outside of Garcia, because he beat Haney, has aged well. So
now you're right, man. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors. I don't understand why not just let him take a loss if it happens. And if he's a face of boxing, he probably will still continue to be the face of boxing depending on how he loses. Before we go, last phone call of the night. Let's go to 616. 616, you're on the air. 616, what's on your mind?
What's going on? My issue is what's going on with these lies being spreaded though.
I don't know. You tell me, man.
I'm trying to understand what you saying that Tank. None of the people that he's fought has aged well.
Yeah, that's what Jimmy said.
Okay, did Pitbull Cruz did not move up to 140 and become a champion?
Who did he beat to get that so-called championship?
That's not what the question is. Did he move up to get a championship or not?
No, because those aren't real championships. No.
Did he say rolling?
How is that not a real championship?
Well, you do know how belts work nowadays, right? There's 4 belts because now the WBO is recognized. Back when I started watching boxing, it was considered a joke. Now all of a sudden it's a real belt. Then on top of that, you've got these corrupt ratings. They're corrupt. They can be corrupted. They can be bought and paid for. Then on top of that, you got 2 other extra belts running around. So in total, you got 6 belts. You got 6 people calling themselves champions. That's why I don't put a lot of emphasis on this so-called championship talk. And I'm just saying, caller, context matters. You're saying it doesn't matter. I say it does. Who did he beat for that championship? Rolly Romero? That's the big championship fight for you?
It doesn't matter who he beat. That's not the problem. That's not who he beat. It's just you made a statement saying that none of the fighters that he fought has aged well, and that's cap, bro. That's cap.
So you're telling me, just real quick, caller, you're telling me that Isa Cruz win over Rolly Romero has aged very well. That's a big deal for you.
if he went on to become a champion, yes.
So it's
Absolutely.
not that, so the belt doesn't. So for you, the belt makes the fighter. Is what you're saying?
What do you mean the belt makes the fighter?
So in other words, as long as you
I'm going off your logic and your logic only. Your logic was none of the fighters that he has fought has aged well.
Yeah.
And that's not true.
Well, Caller, if you're talking about my logic, what's the other logic I just broke down about the title belts? They're diluted. Their worth is diluted, right? Would you agree with that, or would you disagree with that?
Okay, I agree. The belt, yes, the belts don't do what the belt's supposed to do. That's not. Yeah, I agree with you on that situation. But we can't sit here. We not about to sit here and discredit this man, bro. Because this man literally done been in the ring with some of the damn near beat majority of a lot of champions. But I'm gonna just say a lot of champions.
Stop stuttering.
And former champions.
All right, but caller, I just broke down.
And my
and
thing is this. Okay, so hold on. Let me ask y'all a question. So who is available for Tank to fight other than Roach right now? Who is available?
Well, first of all, I said this at the beginning of the show that this particular time, Tank Davis does have a point that there wasn't anyone available because of various issues, whether it was injuries or people already having fights penned. However, I want to go back to what the titles. You agree with me about the titles being diluted, but you still want to insist that because one guy went on to win that title, that makes him, better than anyone else? Is that what you're saying?
No, Pitbull won it. No, Pitbull won the championship. Barrios won the championship. Rolly, whether we want to admit it or not, he got a robbery. He got a championship.
Yeah, but Caller, you just agree.
Going down the list.
But Caller, you just agree with me that the belts are they can be devalued depending on the fight and the context and the fighter.
Right, but you said, bro, your thing was the people that he has fought has not aged well.
They haven't.
That's not true.
Yeah, it's true because
they haven't aged well, bro.
Caller.
So what do you call winning a championship at one?
Can I just say real quick? Let me break it down for you. I'll take the time to break it down for you why they haven't aged well. All right. First of all, we already agreed that titles can be devalued and are in certain cases meaningless, pretty much meaningless. So let's break it down. So Isaac Cruz, you're giving him a lot of props for winning a championship, as you like to call it. Who did he beat to get that championship? Rolly Romero. Okay. Who did Rolly Romero? Because that context matters. Who did he beat to get that so-called belt? He fought it for a vacant belt.
Barroso.
It
was a vacant belt.
It was a vacant belt, so it's not even that. He didn't even beat a long-reigning champion or anything like that. He fought for a vacant belt against a 40-year-old man. The 40-year-old man. Excuse me. You're interrupting, man. You're interrupting. He fought a 40-year-old man.
Man, come on.
Fought a 40-year-old man, barely beat him, got dropped by the 40-year-old man, needed the help of Tony Weeks, who later on admitted it was a horrible stoppage. So that's how Rolly Romero got his belt.
Regardless of the fact he won the championship, I just said that, bro. No matter how we look at the situation, bro, he won the championship.
Okay, let me just turn to my panel here, and can anyone else explain it to him? Because I don't think I'm getting through to him. He admits that the belts are meaningless, but he still makes a big deal of, well, he was a champion. It doesn't matter. He beat a champion. Can anyone else try to explain it to him?
And then I just want to say, how did Isaac Cruz do after that? He lost to Jose Venezuela. My point being, none of his victories. Look at who they are. You think Rolly Romero is a good champion? He actually lost rounds to Rolly. Rolly shouldn't even be on television. He's an embarrassment to boxing. Okay, Rolly Romero is literally an embarrassment to the sport. Isaac Cruz is a tough Mexican, but fucking one-dimensional. And he'll probably never be champion again. And now you go down the line, but we're acting like Tank Davis just came onto the scene in the last 2 years. He's been around since 2015. Everybody he's fought has gone on to do nothing.
Bro, so after Tank fought Pitbull, did he not become a star?
No.
Are you serious, bro?
Isaac Cruz became a star. That's why he was fighting on undercards all the time?
Yeah.
After he fought Tank, did his name not get bigger?
Okay, well that's a difference.
Everybody started knowing who Isaac Cruz was.
Caller. There's a big difference between your name getting bigger and becoming a star. He wasn't a star, so I mean, I'm glad you validated. Yeah, he wasn't a star.
And Mr. BDA, Isaac Cruz was a last-minute replacement. Remember, it was a last-minute replacement. Nobody knew who he was.
Arguably, and in my opinion, Isaac
After
Cruz
he
beat.
fought Tank, that's when he got bigger.
Yeah, he became bigger, but he didn't become a star. That's what you said initially.
Remember all the fights he turned down? He turned down the Shakur fight. He turned down the Haney fight. He turned down all these fights. Guys would beat him.
Okay, but let me just get through this.
Take on Rolly.
Hey, when was Haney available to fight him? First of all,
hold on. We're going all over the place. Let's go. I mean, first of all, we're talking about.
I just heard him. He just said something about
caller,
somebody.
calm down.
He turned down the fight with Devin.
Caller, hold on. But yeah, but then we're jumping from that to where we're jumping ahead to another thing there, caller. Let's stick to what we were saying about Isaac Cruz, because now we're talking about Isaac Cruz's worth as a star. What does that have to do with wins aging well? He's not even a star, first of all. So that point is immaterial.
So how did he become? So again, I'm gonna ask you again. Did Isaac Cruz become bigger than he was after he fought Tank?
Yeah, but by what degree? To what degree?
Okay, my next question is, did Rolly Romero become a bigger name after he fought Tank?
No.
Well, can I ask a question back?
No.
Do you think Rolly Romero's good? Caller, do you
Hold on. You know what? Let me, please.
I'm not talking about skill sets, bro. Y'all keep confusing the two. I'm not talking about skill sets. We're not
you
talking
think
about that.
Romero's a great fighter? You think
Hold on.
good?
You guys are throwing a million questions at the guy. We haven't even gotten past 2 points, and we're already going from Haney to Romero. Caller, you first started out by saying, the phone call. You started by saying that Tank Davis's wins have aged well. Now you're not talking about skill, because obviously you couldn't make it about skill, because like I said, skill-wise, those and quality of opponent-wise, those wins have not aged well. So now you're talking to us about box office appeal. How is that relevant? How is that relevant to Tank Davis's quality of opposition?
I literally proved my point. On that situation. You said that wins haven't aged well. Anyone that Tank has, the people that Tank has for Rolly Romero, Isaac Cruz, Mario Barrios, has all became champion in a different division.
Okay, and then we go back to the quality of
how is that wins not aging well?
Caller, okay, you tell me what my counter argument was, because I don't think you're hearing me out here, or maybe you're pretending to. I don't know. But what was my counter argument about the whole championship thing?
You said what?
What was my repeat my counter argument about the worth of championships? Because it doesn't sound like you're getting it.
You said the belts. You said the belts don't matter, and I agree with you in certain situations. It don't.
Okay, but why do they matter? Why do they matter in this situation?
Right. Why are you bringing it up that they won titles in different divisions?
You said that the people that he has fought didn't age well.
That's
right. Not true.
Oh my God! I don't understand what this caller.
You're incoherent. You're saying two different things. This is what you're saying, right?
You're saying that you agree. Hold on. How is that saying two different things, bro?
I'm going to tell you how you're saying two different things. Okay, you're saying that the fights aged well, and you're using the example that these fighters like Mario Barrios, Rolly Romero, and Isaac Cruz, that they won belts. That's you're saying you're using that as a reason why the fight aged well. That they won belts after.
Ain't that the definition of ain't that the definition?
Hold on. But then you're saying that you agree with BDA's argument that he doesn't take the belts seriously because they're all over the place. So which one is it?
Okay, let me tell you why I don't take the belt seriously. This is why I'm saying I don't take the belt seriously.
You don't need to.
What I'm trying to say is David Benavidez has been.
Which position are you taking? Which position?
David Benavidez has been Canelo's mandatory for a long time, and he still hasn't got that fight yet. That's what I mean by the belts really don't matter, because you can pick and choose who you fight.
Okay, so you agree. So, like, Recognize is asking you, which position are you taking? So you're taking the position that the belts don't matter, but you keep repeating to me every time that the wins aged well because he fought those guys went on to become champions. That's what. No, hold on, caller. That's why Recognize said, the panelist said, that your statement is nonsensical because you're saying two different things that are nonsensical. The two arguments don't make sense.
Okay, so let me ask you, what's your definition of a win aging well? What's your definition of that?
Well, of the amount of guys the amount of top guys that the fighter has fought. Now, how do I determine what that top fighter is? I look at the ESPN ratings and the Ring Magazine ratings, because usually those those ratings are usually the best ones, especially if you mix them together.
So we going off of somebody else, because those are like pretty much like us picking who, come on, bro.
Hold on. People, please mute your mics, guys. Guys, please mute your mics. I can hear you.
Mute Jimmy.
I can hear you in the background. Sorry, caller. Repeat what you said. I didn't hear you.
No, I'm trying to hear what you said. You basically said, can you repeat what you just said, the last part of it?
Yeah, because you asked me, how do I rate top wins, or how do I rate a win age well? If the fighter that got beat goes on to beat top 10 fighters from his division, and the way I determine whether a win is good is if the guy is in the top 10 of whether ESPN or Ring Magazine. For example, Tank Davis, I like the Frank Martin fight. If you go watch the episodes building up to that fight, I said, look, ESPN and Ring Magazine, they have him between number 5 or 6, if I remember correctly, in the lightweight division. That's a top win.
He was number 4.
Well, I remember Ring Magazine had number 5, I think. But anyway, the point is, that's how I would determine by the fighter's worth by those rankings. So hopefully that answers your question.
But again, how do okay, so if we doing that, then how is the ratings picked? Ain't it based on someone's opinion?
No. It's based on relative facts, which are the guys that they beat.
Man, so we up here. I feel like we changing the rules now, bro. I feel like we changing the rules to fit a narrative, bro.
Caller, I've been watching boxing for almost 30 years. I'm going by the rules the way they've always been.
I literally been boxing. Like, that's the difference.
Yeah, but what does that have to do?
I actually do it.
Well, first of all, you don't know. First of all, you don't know if 5 box as well either. And second of all, there's plenty of people that can box. They don't know how to break down a fight or what a fighter's worth. You could be Muhammad Ali. Doesn't matter if you've boxed before. And the arguments that you've been making is you've been contradicting yourself. So being a boxer hasn't really helped you out.
How am I contradicting myself? I literally explained to you everything that I meant. When I told you the belts didn't matter, I said because the simple fact, David Benavidez has been Canelo's mandatory for years, and he still hasn't got the fight.
There you go. So
that's what I mean by
it wasn't as mandatory for years, by the way. It wasn't years, but
by the way, my thing about that is, caller, you've already agreed with me that the belts are meaningless. So when you keep referring to these guys, Tank Davis wins aging well because they won championships, you're contradicting yourself. Like Recognize tried to explain to you. I don't know how else to.
How is that contradicting? Oh my God! I literally cannot get through the argument. How is that?
If you go back, you know what? If you go back. You go back and you repeat this to yourself, say, look, I agree that the belts ain't shit, right? A lot of times I don't agree with the way the belt system is structured, right? So I don't agree with them, but I'm going to give a guy credit for winning that belt. You'll realize when you say that to yourself that you're saying two different things.
That's pretty much what I'm saying.
No, you're saying,
that's what I'm pretty much saying. Like, we can't diminish whether we like them or not. We can't diminish what they accomplished.
Okay, can I just add one thing, Mr. BDA? Let's take the belts. Let's put the belts off to the side real quick.
Uh-huh.
In a straight face, you're going to tell me that Gervonta Davis's resume isn't a joke.
It ain't no joke, and I'm proud to say it ain't no joke.
Why are you proud to say that? What's pride? What's pride got to do with that?
Who else? Okay, so who else at the lightweight division? Only person resume I feel that it cannot compare to is probably Teofimo Lopez or Vasily Lomachenko.
Mm-hmm. Well, listen, I never called his resume a joke. Now, but my thing is, you called in and you asked, why are you guys downplaying his resume? Haven't those wins aged well? And again, I'm going to try one last time here about the belt thing. You're admitting that the belts are meaningless. But you keep using that.
You keep going back to that, bro. After I already done explained to you what I meant by that, you keep going back to that time. But it's you trying to create a narrative, and I'm literally telling you, I don't agree with how the belts are moved in the division.
Okay,
but again, we cannot diminish what somebody has accomplished.
Then stop. But caller, if you admit that the belts can be devalued, that allows me to say that win from this guy wasn't that good.
That don't make sense. How could you say a champion, man? That don't make sense, bro.
But see
I
that again.
Heard you. I literally just heard you to say that the toughest person. I mean, I guess the biggest name on Tank's resume is, I guess, what did you say? Jose Pedraza?
Caller. Let's say I fight a guy. Let's say you got a guy who bought his ratings, right? His promoter bought his ratings. He fights for a vacant belt against a 40-year-old. Let's say. He goes to 12 rounds.
But we know that's how the sanctioning bodies work, though.
Please don't stop. Please, caller, please stop interrupting. Please stop interrupting, man. Please, come on. Let's have a civil dialogue here. I don't understand why you're all fired up. So let's say you got a guy.
I'm not fired up at all.
No, you're not? Okay. So what happens if a guy gets his ratings bought by the manager, promoter, whatever, gets a title shot for a vacant belt against a 40-year-old, goes to 12 rounds against a 40-year-old, gets a gift decision, and I beat him, right, for one of those vacant belts. I beat that dude. Then you got another guy who's been fighting top 3 opposition and the best in the division, and he's been rocking their world. He's been rocking their world. Which win is better? The top one win, top one ranked guy by Ring Magazine, ESPN, or me beating a guy that got something gifted?
We all know how that go, bro. Like you talking about something that's gifted, like that's something different, bro. Like where are we going with this? Like you going in like 2 different directions, bro.
Can you answer my question though? I asked you a question.
All right, repeat your question, bro.
Oh my goodness! Like you know what? Listen. You know what? It's becoming apparent. Caller. It's becoming apparent. You're not really listening to what I'm saying. You're just hearing things, and then as soon as you hear something that you disagree with, you go off your rocker.
Yeah,
so we're just gonna
because you bringing up scenarios about. Because again, like I said, you study trying to diminish somebody's accomplishments.
Well, listen. Whatever you want to think, you can think that Tank Davis's resume is great, whatever, and you can say that his wins aged well. Mario Barrios, he ended up beating. Can you tell me who Mario Barrios beat for the title, his so-called championship that you mentioned?
Did he not? Did you not see what he did to Ugas?
You're not gonna answer my question again, man. Come on, caller. I mean, listen. See, this is why I've been patient enough with you, but you refuse to answer my questions, man. Come on.
I'm answering your question. You just asked me a question. I'm answering your question.
But what caller for a belt though?
Caller, yeah, it was the Ugas win wasn't for a belt.
No, he did. I mean, I know that, but I'm saying you asked me who he fought. I thought you said who he fought. That was actually a name.
Okay, hold on. Okay. First of all, there's 2 different things here because I'm all over the place with the belts too. And now I'm getting confused with the belts. The Ugas fight was for a vacant interim belt. So again, it's just completely diluted. Yeah, and he beat Ugas, right?
Yes.
So that's the big win. He beat Ugas, a 41-year-old Ugas. That's the big win that you're saying aged well for Barrios.
See, this where we going. See what I'm saying? Like, you see what I'm saying, bro. Like, because it's the same. We talking about the same Ugas that beat Manny Pacquiao.
Well, yeah, again, and which version of Pacquiao did he beat?
A 41-year-old who was retired for almost 3 years.
What are we doing? Like, what are we talking about? You talk about what age did he? We all knew Manny Pacquiao was over the hill, but whose fault is that? Is that his fault? Because he the one stepped in the ring.
It's not about it being anyone's fault. It's about, again, gauging the quality of the wins. Again, you keep making this about us just wanting to tear a guy down. I'm just pointing out the fact, which you seem to agree. Caller,
bro. I feel like we all over the place, bro. Like we went from Tank Davis to Barrios, or like we going too many different directions, bro.
Yeah, and let me just sum it up this way. I brought up the fact that Pacquiao was over the hill, which you even agreed with. But somehow you're trying to make it about us denigrating a fighter. It's not about denigrating a fighter. It's about pointing out the reality. And if that reality is denigrating, so be it. But I'm not actively trying to tear down a guy's resume. I'm just pointing out reality. And that,
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Please. Sorry. Please don't ask me questions. Just make your statement. Please, just make a statement. A counter statement.
I can't ask you no questions.
Just make a counter argument. You don't see me going around doing the.
So did you say so? When what do you consider Cambosos would he be Tio?
You're asking me a question. I mean, again, he said he wasn't going to ask, and then he asked the question. Caller, at the end of the day, if you disagree about the Tank Davis resume, that's fine. I mean, that really is fine. But Isaac Cruz ended up winning it.
Like I said, it's cool, bro, because at the end of the day, like I said, regardless of what we try to look at, bro, he's still who he is. No matter how you try to diminish the situation. And I also heard somebody up here say something along the lines of,
right? Carl, if you go,
I also heard somebody
say
PBC ain't got no money or something like that, bro. That's not even a situation. They having an issue with the venue.
But if you go to Tank's Twitter page right now, and every time he tweets something, just look at the remarks he gets. All right, and it's not just by
from Dan Raphael. Dan Raphael.
No, listen. I haven't talked in a while. Let me just say a few names: Liam Walsh, Francisco Francesca, Andres Celia, Hugo Ruiz, Ricardo Nuez. An absolute shell. A one-legged.
90 seconds.
A one-legged Gamboa. Santa Cruz, who was out of the ring for 2 years, again, dragged up from a second weight. And I'm going to tell you straight up, Mario Barrios is trash. Isaac Cruz is a one-dimensional fighter who will probably never be champion again. Rolly Romero is a short-bus widow.
How could you tell somebody? How can you grade somebody's resume when they're in a prospect stage, bro?
Caller, you told me earlier you're not
60 seconds.
You told me earlier you're not fired up, but you keep interrupting. And again, that's what I'm saying. As soon as you hear something that you dislike or you disagree,
you mean to tell me so?
You're interrupting. You just did it again, caller.
You finish the sentence.
You just did it again. That's why you're not understanding what we're telling you, because you're not listening. You're hearing. As soon as you hear something,
to listen to, because y'all got one side of the answer that y'all trying to stick with.
Oh my God.
So then, okay. So you tell me.
I don't understand. How can you grade a person?
So can we? All right. So can we? Okay. So can we hang up on you then? Because you think we're just going in circles trying to create narratives. So can we end this conversation? I think that's the only thing we should do.
Like some haters. That's what y'all sound. Y'all sound like some haters.
You sounding like a dick writer, man. You sounding like a dick writer, man. You sounding like a dick writer. So I guess it goes both ways, man.
Do I? Because I'm not on. I'm not going on the live making a live about a man that I quote unquote don't like. But y'all sit here talking about him. If you don't like him, don't talk about him.
That doesn't make any sense. Hold on, that doesn't make any sense. If I don't like, that doesn't make any sense. I can talk about whomever I want, whether I like him, dislike him, whether I love him, whether I hate him. If you don't like
the person, why are you talking about somebody you don't like? That's stupid.
No, it's not stupid. It's a boxing show, and we're talking about a guy who's. We're talking about a caller. You keep interrupting, man. I mean, do you understand? I mean, I don't think you understand. You've been not interrupting for seven times now. But it doesn't. See, listen. I could sit here and say this dude doesn't understand what I'm saying because he's not listening. Therefore, I'm going to interrupt him as well.
Clearly, just because you mindset, of course you're gonna feel like that.
I didn't hear you. What?
I said, of course you're going to feel like that. You have a biased mindset, so of course you're going to feel like that.
Well, you have a biased mindset too, I think. I mean, you keep dick writing Tank Davis saying that he's wins, and you keep saying that he's wins. Here's the reality. He fought Rolly Romero, who didn't even have 20 professional fights. His best win was that guy from Sweden. He ends up winning a paper title against the fourth. He ends up winning. My goodness gracious. He ends up. I'm going to have to mute you, man. I hate to do it, but I mean, you keep interrupting. If you can't sit with the big boys, you stay on the porch.
No, you can't sit with the big boys. I'm just trying to ask you. You sitting here talking about some Rolly Romero, but he was on the last contract of his fight with Mayweather Promotions, and you know that.
No, I don't know that, first of all. Second of all, you keep interrupting. So you just because you disagree with me or because you think I'm biased or because you think I'm biased or because you think I'm Greek or whatever, doesn't matter the reason. You can't be interrupting people because you know what that tells me? Again, you're not listening to what I'm saying. I've been listening to your arguments. I've been trying to. And then I reply. And then as I try to reply, you do what you just did right there. You interrupt.
Hey, let me just get this off.
Here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to do, man. You need to get schooled. You need to go to charm school to learn how to talk to people.
I don't need to go nowhere.
Yeah,
bro.
you need to go. You need to go. Oh yeah, you need to go to charm school and learn how to talk to people, how to dialogue. Because what you're doing right now, is not gonna listen to me. I'm giving you very solid advice here. I know a thing or two. I know a thing or two about a thing. I know a thing or two. I know a thing or two about a thing or two. I know a thing or two about a thing or two. Look, listen, we've managed to build up a successful show here where people like to listen to us talk. So here's advice advice from a guy who has relative, listeners.
And
let me give you some. Jimmy, please.
Jimmy, I want to ask him one question. See if he can answer it.
He's not going to listen. We're past that. Because the guy he's not listening to what you're saying. Recognize. He's not going to listen to what you're saying. He's going to hear something that he dislikes, and as soon as that goes on, he's going to cut you off.
I bet you he smacks his hand to each syllable too as he's doing it.
I was just gonna ask him one question, BDA. I was gonna say, if Tank put a period at the end of his career, right this second, he put a period, right? It's over. Where do you rank him as the all-time great?
He's going to the Hall of Fame. He's going to the Hall of Fame. I bet you that.
No, here's my question.
If he's not fighting right now, he's going to the Hall of Fame.
Okay,
right.
let me ask
shit, I just threw up in my mouth. Let me
ask you a question. Where do you rank him amongst the all-time greats that ever did it? Where do you put him?
We in a different era of boxing, bro. Like, what are we talking about?
Don't give me that question. We're in a different era of boxing. Where do you put him in the pantheon of all-time greats? Where do you put Tank?
I can't rate him right now because his career is still going.
That's right. Because if you had to be honest, it wouldn't be that high.
And listen, I just realized, hey guys, recognize. He just said that he would be in the Hall of Fame. Think about what this gentleman just said. He would make the Hall of Fame off that resume.
Hey, Jimmy, anybody can make the Hall of Fame. I just asked him.
It's sad, bro, how much y'all really hate on that man, bro. Like, this shit is sad.
On the all-time great list, where would he rank him on the all-time great list? And he didn't answer it. That tells you how he feels about Tank.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Recognize that was a great question, and he's like that was a great question. His lack of an answer really speaks volumes. And that's the other thing, though. Caller, I was trying to give you some advice about how to dialogue and how to talk to people.
No, you don't need to give me no advice about nothing.
I know I don't need to. I know I don't need to, and I don't know it to you. But I'm that type of generous. I know I don't need to. I know I don't need to, but I'm that type of generous person. Well, I'll give it anyway. So. If you go through life acting the way you do, if you go through life, come on, try to make an effort not to interrupt. Try to make an effort not to interrupt, all right? If you go through life the way you do, which is constantly talking to people and interrupting when they're trying to tell you something.
Bro, we talking about boxing. Are you serious? We talking about boxing.
He can't help himself. Well, I mean, that's the other thing, though, is you can't help somebody that doesn't want to help himself. So, caller, we wish you the best of luck in life.
Listen, Davis fans?
Listen. You know what?
Always interrupt everybody.
Well, you know what? I'm getting interrupted a lot here by everybody. So, I've been trying to have
I'm sorry, Mr. BDA. I apologize.
I usually don't.
That's what men do. They apologize when they do ignorant things like I just did.
Well, I mean, it's not ignorant. It's just, I guess we have connection issues here as always. But yeah, listen, caller, I know you think you don't need my advice, but I'm gonna tell you, if you go through life constantly interrupting people and not listening to what they have to say, and if you project, you're assuming a lot of things here, because as long as you you say something, somebody says something that you dislike, and you call them haters. I mean, that's a bad way to live through life, because you're essentially shutting yourself off and cutting yourself off from listening to what people are saying. I mean, everything you've been saying so far, every time I try to say something, you go, well, I'm interrupting you because you're a hater. So right there, that gives you, that you go in circles, because then you can interrupt anybody for any reason. You can just label somebody a hater and keep interrupting it, and you're not even listening to what they're saying. So with that, we're gonna let you go, caller. Call back next time. See maybe if you can rewind the conversation and listen to
I don't want to call this line. I'm cool.
Yeah, you should call. No, you should call, and you should also re-listen to what we were saying. You should re-listen to what we were saying, and really listen to what we were saying, because maybe then you'll get it. All right, take it easy out there, man.
Yeah, I want to know what credit he wants us to give Tank Davis.
I don't know. Listen, hold on. Let me get to another call here. Last of the night, because they called before they close. 773, you're on the air. 773, what's on your mind?
Hey, what up, people? Yeah, man. So I caught a lot of that, And I've been on the show before, hung out, discussed, but I never really talked about Tank. In my opinion, personally, again, I've been a follower of the sport for many years. I have my opinion like everybody else. And in boxing, there's always a criteria. I have my criteria. And mine is real simple. It's 4, right? Caliber of opposition, dominance of division, right? Dominance meaning you're unifying, you're undisputed. Activity, because that's very important, and career-defining fights. Personally, Tank does not check off those boxes. Who here can tell me when he fought Pedraza after that, when has Tank ever unified a belt? I'll wait.
Never. And he gets an email belt.
He's never unified a belt. What division did he dominate? I'll stand by.
Crickets.
Career-defining fight. This is not hate. This is just somebody who loves the sport and been watching it for years, like many of us. Career-defining fight. Give me one. Outside of the money fight with Garcia, that was a money fight. Okay, he got the win.
Well, and you know what else, caller? You know what else? If you asked the question, career-defining fights. I was gonna say, I suppose you could say Ryan Garcia or Mario Barrios, but even then, without even going into those guys' records, the fact that he had to stick weight rehydration clauses on them just further devalues the wins even more. So I didn't even bring that up to the caller because I couldn't. We couldn't even get past the whole his wins aging well. He just didn't seem to get it. So I mean, I don't know what to do with some of these Tank fans. I really don't.
And I didn't even bring that up, the whole stipulation. I just left that out. I'm just asking for a career-defining fight. His career-defining fight was Jose Pedraza getting that belt. Money fight, monetary-wise, it was the Garcia fight. Okay, those are 2 accomplishments. And the other one is activity.
Oh,
so lately, I mean, what is he fight? Once a year?
Seriously, Carla, you just laid it out. You did. That was how you just laid that out. How your criteria is, that was perfect. That was absolutely perfect. Everything you just said, he avoided. I mean, listen, every belt he's either got, has been, they call him a 3-division weight champion. Let's look at that. The only real belts was in 1 division. The other 2 divisions were junior belts. He's never tried to, everything you just said was perfect. Every question you asked, there'd be nothing but dead air in the room or a hyper emotional, feminized fanboys calling you a hater.
And then, and I'll closing it out. Why when you have top guys, when a division is loaded, why didn't he ever fight Teo? Why didn't he ever fight Haney? Loma for the longest time. I'm not talking about now. Loma for years didn't fight Loma. Why don't you fight Shakur? Why aren't these guys on his resume, win or lose? It's not about wins and losses. It's about who you fight. And I don't think some people get the point of the sport. The sport is
every one of them would have boxed
right?
his fucking face off. That's why. And his people knew it. And they avoided him like child support payments.
Oh, hey, caller, let me explain something to you.
Go ahead.
I give Tank a chance against the guys you mentioned, but I also give those guys a chance of outboxing them easily. Okay? Easily. This is the reason why. He can win those fights. He can knock them out. He could stop them late in the fight or something like that. But we'll never know because he would never give himself that chance. And he also knew that there's a good chance that he doesn't knock them out and they beat him on the scorecards. That's the reason he never took the fight.
Think about this. If he would have got a headbutt, say, let's just for shits and giggles, if there was a headbutt in the 5th round at the Rolly Romero fight, right? And they had to call it on a fucking head, on a cut. And because 4 rounds it went in the books and it went to the judges' scorecards, he would have lost the fight to a fucking embarrassment to the sport.
Caller, anything else you want to say before we move on?
No, that was pretty much it on that topic. And then on this weekend's fight, I'm gonna, to me, I'm gonna give Catterall the edge on this fight this weekend. So I'm gonna close it out with that. I think this is a good fight. People tune into that one. I think that's gonna be a damn good one. So
all right.
And with that, saludos, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your comment. Take it easy out there. Yeah, that Prograis Catterall fight, it could turn ugly or it could turn well. I mean, it's an intriguing fight on paper, so I'm crossing my fingers and hopefully we get a good one. The potential upset maybe for Prograis there. But I just wanted to say this, man. Listen, I am not a fan of the open chat algorithm bots, the ones that surmise and summarize a conversation. They try to glean what the conversation going on the Discord or actually on the stream, and then they try to summarize and they give you the summary. Shout out to Never Sobers who caught this earlier when we were trying to talk to this dude, and this is what the chat says. This is why I don't like it. It's very negative. Viewers are calling the caller dumb and making fun of him. Some are discussing boxing matches and fights. I mean, look, listen, were people really calling the guy dumb? I don't think he was dumb. I just think he was ignorant, and there is a difference because he was unwilling to listen to what we were saying. That's why I was trying to be very patient because. That's why I was trying to be very patient.
He said we were liars. He said we were lying on Tank Davis. But I wanted to ask him, what was the lie? There's no lies. Does he want us to praise Tank Davis? That's what I don't get about these guys. I mean, what are we supposed to do? Say he's top 5 pound for pound? And then listen. On what?
I was trying to give him some advice too, and obviously maybe that was the wrong way to go about it because maybe he sounds like I'm talking down to him, which I assume I'm going to go ahead and assume it probably happens to him every day. But here's the thing: when you're when you're in a debate and you start calling the other guy instead of addressing the argument, you just go, "Oh, y'all haters," you've automatically put a stop to the conversation in terms of having a good, Now you're getting into a bad faith conversation because now I can just turn it around on you, and that's why I turn it around on him. I say, "Well, you're a Tank Davis dick rider." That's how you start a conversation. So I was trying to give him that type of. I was trying to give him that type of advice, but I mean, my patience ended up running out because I felt like I wasn't explaining myself properly, even though I tried it in a bunch of different ways. And Recognize did a better job than I did when he said, "You agree that titles are meaningless." But then you're praising Tank Davis' opponents for going on and getting those paper titles. So which one do you agree with? And he didn't get it because he wasn't listening to what we were saying. And this is the type of calls that I hate. I understand people out there like them because they make for good entertainment. But I'm at a point in my life right now where I can't go around back and forth with people that don't really want to listen to me.
And you're right about one thing, Mr. BDA. Him taking, like you giving him advice, absolutely took that personal. That was like an affront to him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You can just tell that's just by his makeup.
You know what set it off for me, Jimmy? When I asked a simple question, and I said, "Look, if Tank Davis' career was over, where do you rank him as an all-time great?" And he said, "Well, that's kind of hard to talk about. That's it. That's all I needed to know." That tells me
clearly
you wouldn't.
You drilled him with that.
This point, real quick, Jimmy. That means that you know that everything we're saying is right, and that you wouldn't be able to even bullshit an attempt to rank him amongst the greats. Because when I say amongst the greats, he knows who I'm talking about, and he doesn't stand with those guys. Nowhere near.
No. Not even the same stratosphere, brother. Not even the same stratosphere. I mean, just that's why when I asked him, he wouldn't answer. And I cannot believe once he said that Tank would go into the Hall of Fame. Now, just let that really sink in. The Hall of Fame off of what? His titles have all been either given to him. They've been vacant junior titles. He fought fucking Hugo Ruiz, I believe, for the one real title he had at 130. The one real title he's actually fought for, he fought an absolute, I think it was a 14-1 underdog. Hector Garcia, these are all, you go down his resume, they're all guys brought up from lighter weight divisions meant for him to feast upon. That's been what it's all about. Floyd Mayweather knew it. They were just looking for him to knock people out. And his fan base, like that kid, absolutely over-emotional. Like, absolutely. Anytime Mr. BDA made any kind of a salient point, the guy started going. Every single time. He would let Mr. BDA get a half a sentence out.
And that was my point is you're not listening. If a guy's interrupting me, that means he's not listening. Now, people are confused about what I mean by listening and hearing. Hearing means just audibly detecting sound, right? Listening means actually taking the time to try to understand what the guy is saying or the argument that he's formulating. What he was doing is, as soon as he heard something like, Tank's resume equals not that good, boom, he would go off without even. So I wasn't even done with my argument and my explanation. He would just interrupt. So how is he supposed to understand my point of view and my argument if he won't even let me finish it? That was my point, and the guy just didn't seem to want to get it. I think that's the other point: is he doesn't want to be helped. It's like a drunk. Well, if he doesn't want to stop,
and
then
you don't even give people a chance, because I think Barrios was a good win. I'm gonna say it. I think Barrios and Cruz, they're good wins. Those are good fighters, in my opinion. I think Cruz is a tough out for anybody. Barrios, he's tough, but they weren't the best. I mean, see, I could even give the guy Hector Garcia was a decent fighter. Who else was a decent? Frank Martin was a good little fighter. He may come back and do things. See, I could have given those guys that point, but like you said, he don't want to listen. You won't even allow somebody to give you your points and say they're good fights, but they weren't the best at the time.
Exactly.
And that's what I was going to tell them.
And you know what? The other thing that gets me with some of these dudes is that you're in a bad faith argument when they keep interrupting, they keep raising their voices, and then you go, listen, you got to calm down. They go, I'm calm. It's like, you're not calm, man. Come on, what are we doing here? Like, what type of silly game are we playing? It's nonsensical. Like I said, at this point in my life, especially at this hour of the day, Mr. BDA needs his beauty sleep. I'm just not, I really don't have the patience for this type of brouhaha. But be that as it may, hope you guys enjoyed it. That's the most important thing. And, recognize Jimmy.
Always.
Frank,
I got to jump in a car right now and drive to Syracuse, New York, to a hotel room. So that's what I literally got to do right now. Right when I get off the show, the car's already packed. I got to drive 2.5 hours. So
there you go.
Yeah, that kind of sucks for me, But and again, listen, Mr. BDA, I got to give the kid credit. I got to listen. We cut him down, but I got to say one thing: he didn't call us racists. You know what I mean? Right. So at least I want to give him that. He didn't go that far. But the hater thing, that nothing gets my fucking just so right about that. When someone says you're just a hater, that tells me right away you can't counter legitimate points with anything. So hater is just like it's such a childish thing to say. It's just childish.
I mean,
you tried your best, Mr. BDA, but he wasn't going to let you school him, and that's what would have happened. And the minute he said he belonged in the Hall of Fame, that's when I just said, okay, now I know exactly what we're dealing with.
I don't look at it. I understand what you're saying, but I just want to emphasize, I don't look at it as schooling, because I'm just trying to really show people, listen, I saw what happened with the Wilder fans and the Errol Spence fans when they thought these guys were gods and they hit him hard. So in a way, maybe I am trying to help these people. Like, look, stop putting this Tank Davis guy on a pedestal, because you're going to get the same disappointment that you get from all those other losses. So and of course, this is boxing. At the end of the day, when you start calling me a hater and, well, if you hate that guy, why are you talking about him? I mean, come on, what are we in high school now? Let's get the fuck out of here. Let me read a couple of super chats.
That's what the same thing they said about Spence, remember? The same guys, the same exact people would call and fucking cut us off and call us haters because we predicted Crawford to not only win, but knock him out. Oh, my God. Remember, that sent his fans through the roof. Or because I said his alcoholism is really, or his partying is part of the problem. They acted the same way. But you notice we never heard from them again. Isn't that funny how that happens?
I mean, it's comical, that's for sure. And it's enlightening for those that don't listen to this show. Shout out to Rafael Garza for his contribution with the super chat. He says, it's okay to practice machismo. However, hitting and choking women like Tank at the basketball court is not machismo, or crying like Floyd in jail. I'll say this about Tank Davis. Sometimes you got to show the woman who's boss, but you're supposed to do that behind closed doors. You don't do that in front of hundreds of people at a basketball game. And of course, I'm kidding around. Hopefully nobody takes me seriously. Shout out to Lalo Soto Gaming for his super chat, but he didn't leave a message, so I don't know. I think we should make up a message for him. I think he said something about the 6 million figure not being true. I think that's what he said. I'm going to assume that that's what he said in his super chat. Shout out to Matlatzinka for his contribution with the super chat. He says, what is Tank's record if he had fought Teofimo, Devin Haney, Lomachenko, Luke Campbell, Jorge Linares, Anthony Crolla, Cambosos? Missed opportunities. Yeah, well, what do all those guys have in common? Most of those guys fought each other. Tank Davis never entered into the
probably could have beat those guys.
He would have not been undefeated. He would have definitely not been undefeated, and he knows that too.
Why did you get a Baltimore accent there at the end there, recognize? He would know it too. That's what you said.
You caught it, right?
You sound like you're from Baltimore. All this Tank Davis talk. All this Tank Davis talk really got you into the Baltimore mood. Boys and fellas, we gotta go. We've been on the air for 3.5 hours. It's 11:37. Recognize, are you going to be doing a voice chat tonight? Or?
I don't know. I don't know. I might do it.
They're demanding it, dude.
You guys are demanding it.
And Frank, you haven't been on the air in a while, man. What's up? Are you gonna go live one of these days?
Had to travel a little bit, man. Have some fun.
Yeah, you're supposed to. Yeah, just don't forget where you bury the bodies, and you should be set. Listen.
Well, hey, that's offline.
Shout out to everybody in the chat, everybody who called in. This is the point of these shows. Even though I might not like it sometimes because I'm tired, but the point of these shows is to have a disagreement and to provide the people entertainment. Shout out to Eddie Shout out to Eddie Valenzuela for his contribution with the super chat. Shout out to him. Really appreciate your contribution, man. Really appreciate you keeping us afloat with your support. Shout out to Eddie Valenzuela. Didn't leave a name. But I guess, didn't leave a comment, but I got to tell you, he doesn't need a comment. How about that? That's how special Eddie is when he's putting the work in. Shout out to Eddie Valenzuela, man. Really appreciate it. Really. All of you guys as well, man. I mean, this show couldn't be possible without you. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. We'll try. I think Bucho said he's going to do an open panel tomorrow. Open lines. So if anybody, I suspect we're going to be covering a lot of these same subjects, but with more people and different panelists. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Again, I want to remind everybody to join in, hit the like if they haven't already, subscribe if they haven't subscribed already. Appreciate everybody who donated the super chat, everybody that called in. Of course, I can't forget the panelists. Shout out to Recognize, Jimmy, Sobers. Sobers, are you still there? Just checking in.
Yo.
10-4. There you go. That's a real warrior right there from the beginning. Shout out to Frank Bay as well.
Salute.
Shout out to Frank Bay and everybody in the chat. I'm talking about Padokua, Earl, Tuna Fish, Man Down, 3 times Spence Jr., right? Protectorate General, that was a long name. Quick Sloth, Sam Rando, Gene Ryu, 33, Eddie Valenzuela, Guts and Glory, Dark Hado, Jump Tube, Padokua, Reverend Pickles, Noe, Guts and Glory. Who else? Alejandro Solis, Harker Mustang in there as well. Shout out to Harker Mustang, Sam Rando, another one of the initiated. Shout out to him. Blue Tag 97. And fellas, if I forgot anybody, it's because we gotta go. But shout out to you.